Call this meeting order. I'll stand. Place the flag. Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Roll call. R.J. Donovan.
Here.
Britton Luther.
Present.
Jim Yoakum is here. Approval of minutes.
Make a motion we approve minutes.
Second the motion.
There's
Discussion.
One correction, I think it had more in it or something like that instead of a motion, so word change.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of claims.
Motion that we approve claims.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Well, I
Aye.
had some discussion. We can discuss it later then. Aye.
Okay. Approval of payroll.
Make a motion to approve payroll.
Second motion to approve payroll.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comment. Anybody else too, if they have any public comment wishes done?
So this is just an update. So Becky Holbert for Vermilion Trails Alliance, and just wanted to give you a quick update. It says I was out of the country at the last meeting. So we are planning to extend the trail off of Trailhead Park, another 4/10 of a mile. So that'll make the trail open 0.9 miles one way and then back. So that's a good path. We have a letter drafted that's ready to send to near neighbors because we are making a lot of progress there. Just what our progress is, and mainly to let them know about the purple paint, and we will be marking our property lines with the purple paint, so the county property lines. So, or some of the property owners already have. So that letter will be going out to near neighbors of Trailhead Park in the very near future. And we had a great planning session yesterday where for the next couple of years we've got some major tasks to get going on. So
How's retirement?
I don't know yet. I am retired, but I'm just as busy. But thank you.
Becky, a quick question on
Yes,
that.
sir.
You said the trail's been extended 0.9 miles, is that right?
Now it's going to be extended 0.4 miles,
0.4.
so a total of 0.9 miles one way to the trestle that we are problem solving on.
Okay, and is that, so is this 0.4, is it extending past the county farm then?
It's 0.4 beyond what we had it open to.
Okay, well, before it was within the county farm, the trail was.
Right.
Are we expanding out past
Yes,
the county farm now?
correct.
Did you guys discuss the potential of a bridge use over the trails? I.e. the bridge over Burlett Creek?
It has been discussed, but that's not
Just a discussion.
just a
I
discussion.
would
It's not our decision, as I understand.
I talked to Tom, and Tom been involved in it, and I asked if I could come and make a presentation to the VTA about that.
Okay.
Because it's a major decision.
It is a major decision, but it's
And it-
not the VTA's decision, as I understand, correct?
Looking for a
No.
recommendation.
Right, okay,
No,
we
yeah,
can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we
Part-
can do.
You guys would be
yeah.
a big part of this,
Yes,
and it's a
yes.
major thing for a
Yes.
county. I'd like to come
Right.
in. When you guys have your next meeting?
We meet the third Tuesday of every month at 4 o'clock at the Newport Library. So next meeting
Can
will
you
be...
put me on the agenda for then?
Sure, we can put you on the agenda. You gonna be there?
Do what?
Will you be there?
If I'm not working, I need to
Okay,
check my
very good.
schedule.
I don't know what the day, probably February 21st or March 21st.
I work days and nights, and my schedule out is hard.
Yeah.
I can't.
Should be March
So,
21st, I think.
But if you could keep me on the mailing list of
Okay.
your meetings, I don't know if I'm
Okay.
still on there or not.
Is it
but-
a night? Is it a night meeting?
4 o'clock.
Becky, if I could follow up with the extension of the trail real quick. It's extending outside of the county farm now. So what are the VTA, which I guess it's the county the county system, park system, what does the VTA put in place to prevent people from going on to private landowners? Is it just the purple paint, or is there any other
The
deter?
Purple paint. Some of the property owners have already done the purple paint.
Okay.
And we have signs that we've had made up explaining what purple paint is.
Okay.
And when we get off of the county property, those signs will be on the trail.
Okay.
So alerting people what that purple paint means. You know, it's not an Easter egg hunt. It's purple paint, and it's there for a reason.
Thank you.
Mhm.
The other project, I noticed that we got the funding in the other day for $1.1 million.
Right, for the next level trails.
project.
Mhm.
And what does that all cover as far as the scope of that?
That is for the project to extend the B&O Trail. That's what it's officially named, off of there at Hillsdale, to extend it south over the creek and head south to
So that's
there
putting
will
a-
be a newly established trailhead.
That's putting a new bridge in there.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yep.
okay,
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
thank you. Anybody else from public comment? You have another chance later at the end, so if you haven't did it now, you can do it later. Next is Vermillion County Health Department 2022 Annual Report, Dr. Paula Market.
Initially, I'll start with the COVID reports for this year so far. We had, January, we had a total of 60 cases. In February, it dropped to 37, so the numbers are getting lower. The percentage of people vaccinated is pretty much staying the same. We've had a few more of the bivalent doses. We went from 7.1 to 7.4% being vaccinated.
They're roughly
with the-
50% of the people participating.
Yeah. Yeah, have had about 50, almost 55% have had one dose. Having, 2 doses is considered fully vaccinated. That's around 50%. The booster doses is slightly under 24, and then the bivalent, which is the Omicron variants that we are giving now. All of the rest of the immunizations are gone, and the bivalent is the only thing left available, except for the ones for the children. So we went up a little bit, but overall COVID has quieted down, and hopefully it continues to get less and less. So you have a copy of the annual report, which was approved by the board on the 7th of the month. This presents kind of, Wendy did a nice overview of basically what we did for the year. State is really still pushing us with the COVID, and that's, has been our main focus last year. This year we're hoping to change that. We did a lot of clinics at the health department, and we did a lot of outreach clinics, which you'll see later in the report. We went to Newport, Perrysville, Dana, Universal. We had outreach clinics in Clinton. So we were able to get some people who might not have been able to make it into the health department, try and get out to the other cities in the county. And we did some other activities. We did some CPR classes, which we're going to bring back in the spring. And we had the drug take back. We had the booster bash. We got a lot of booster seats and gave those away. Just in fact, earlier this month we gave away a ton of them. We just said, hey, come get them. They're free if you qualify, if you're the right height and age. Here you are. And then they also did a lot of public health education, handed out a lot of candy at trunk or treat.
Sounds healthy.
Huh?
That sounds healthy.
Yeah. Hey, got the kids in there and the parents, we got the information to them, so. Also been working on the septic permits, the final inspections. We did permit and inspect every retail food establishment in the county last year. And then we got the tattoo ordinance passed, and they're all permitted, and we'll be doing an inspection soon there. And then we'll talk a little bit later about this Public Health Commission and what that means for us. Most of these pages are the budgets, different budgets that we have. Just the health department budget, starting appropriations. You can see what the budget for the year was, the expenses, and what we have as a balance there in the yellow. And then same goes around the next page. You see the bioterrorism, which basically doesn't change because we haven't had to use any of that money, thankfully.
What are we
And then,
using that for?
well, it's in case we have another, I guess they considered COVID kind of like a bioterrorism, but, if something comes into the county that's,
It's a
anthrax.
It's a reserve for that?
That
if
money
something
is
happens.
reserved for that purpose, yes. And then the vaccine fund balance, that money is to be used only for vaccines, and it shows, how much we collected and what our ending balance is there. The health maintenance fund, that is grant money that we receive. Again, you can see the budget, the expenses, and what's left over. And this is a little bit confusing because we get part of that in June, and so some of it's from June of last year, still holding over, and then we'll get the rest of it this June. It's just the way they distribute it. And then the trust grant account, that is mostly for monies to help pay for the health educator. And again, you can see the totals there. The emergency preparedness grant, we still have money in that account, and that 37090, that's the money that we had at the end of 2022, and then we got the additional money. So you can see that we have, maybe this is when it goes till June. We have you can see the balance we have until June when we receive more money for emergency preparedness. The COVID testing grant, we will not be receiving any more money for that. It can only be used for testing, and we are we have a lot of home test kits, but they will be expiring soon, so we'll be purchasing more to hand out to the public. Anybody who wants them can come by and get them.
Didn't they come out with a new one, though, that does the flu versus the COVID?
We don't have flu testing.
I thought they came out with one that did both of those.
There
together.
is. I have it in my office, but the state has just given us COVID testing.
Okay.
And that's what that money is only used for, the testing for COVID. Can't use it for anything else. And then the vaccine grant, of course, is to buy the vaccines and to pay for the additional help to run the clinics. And we're required to run a Thursday night and every second Tuesday to have a clinic at the health department, which is not just for COVID, but for all vaccine clinics. And then if you look on the vital statistics report here, where you're talking about the septic permits issued, there were 37 issued in that calendar year, but actually worked on a total of 57 throughout the year. It's just that, when they got paid for might not have been in 2022. So.
You got a deaths 851 and births 457, so we've lost 400 roughly. And have you noticed anything as far as, I don't know if you've looked it up or whatever, but the death rate over the last couple of years, has it changed or has it stayed the same, or do you know?
I really haven't looked at that, to be honest.
That would be,
I will be looking at it as part of what we're going to have to do for this core services.
Okay.
But as of yet, I haven't looked at that.
Okay.
Over the past several years. I could go back and pull all the reports and
Okay.
compare those. Get back to you. And then again, just the environmental services, you can see that we issued 50 permits, but that doesn't mean we got paid for 50 permits. And we still have 9 pending, and these are the other complaints and things that Kim had to investigate, and
What's
doing the retail inspections. We have 20 that are mobile services, and then we have 20 that are temporary, because the temporary ones do maybe just one event, and if you do more than one, it's just cheaper to buy the yearly.
Why do we issue septic permits but not get paid for them?
Well, we do get paid for them, but say they might have paid, before January, and then we get the permit to them into January.
So it's a crossover of years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next one is just, you can see the total vaccines that we gave were 2,344, and that was out of 119 total clinics. So we were busy with that. This breaks down by vaccine on this page, what types of vaccine. Of course, COVID was the most. Over 1,900 vaccines there out of the total 22344. Next in line was the flu. Gave a lot of meningitis vaccines, things like that. The this page number 13 just shows everywhere we went and how many vaccines were given at the outreach clinics that we did in the various communities.
The shingles vaccine, is that available at the health department?
Yeah, the
Does
good
it
thing
cost?
about shingles vaccine this year is that Medicare is going to cover it.
The what?
Medicare is going to cover it, for sure, for everybody.
Okay, so if you come in as regular insurance, how much does it cost if you want to get
Well,
can you get it
we're
done there?
supposed to be meeting this month with this company called VaxCare, and they've kind of put us off a couple of times, but we talked to some people from the state, came and talked to us yesterday, and they're supposed to get them on it. But VaxCare is a company that we can take all comers. They all we got to do is get it in the computer. They will bill the insurance. We will get like a $15 vaccination administration fee, but they buy the vaccines. They eat the cost if they expire. They will purchase every vaccine that we have right now, so we'll get reimbursed for that. And so anybody, commercial insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, underinsured, not insured, can come and get vaccines now, which we'll be serving everybody instead of just VFC or uninsured. Or
Is there deductibles associated with that?
no, they're preventive health care, so like Medicare should cover it 100%. And they'll just bill Medicare, they'll get paid, and we'll get paid $15 for every shot we give.
I did want to make a comment, Dr. Market, on the mobile clinics. I heard a lot of good things from the community members in Perrysville, Dana. So, I mean, I would love to see if that could potentially continue on in the future.
Oh, yes, we plan to.
I think that's a great idea.
It's
I know the
really
numbers
hard
weren't.
for somebody up in Perrysville to get to Clinton to get a shot.
Yeah, I mean, I know
And
the number.
they were so happy to have us.
Yeah, I know the numbers aren't, real big, 14, 16, 20, but it's still,
Yeah, but it's our
kind of a
first time
godsend for
out,
them
and
to.
we didn't have a lot of time to advertise. And
Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys accolades
it's hard
on
to
that.
advertise right now with just a once a week newspaper.
Yeah.
So let's see where we at. Yeah, this just again shows the vaccines and the difference between the children, the private adults that we did give. Some people did come in and pay for the shingles vaccination. So I had 6 people come in and do that. We tried to get it at the lowest possible cost by joining vaccine groups. So we were able to undercut the pharmacies and get it to them as cheap as possible. Lead is a big new topic,
Not
as of
having
January
TB.
1st.
Do we have any hits on TB?
We have
Never.
one kid,
Mhm.
that is taking medication for TB. She was positive, from her mother who lives in a different county. And she's doing pretty well so far. And then the hepatitis C cases, those are followed by the state, actually, not us. So, but we did ask yesterday for them to, give us more information so we know exactly where these cases are and if there's anything we should be doing.
So the janitorial staff here at the courthouse, should they have hepatitis shot?
Janitorial staff at
Here at the courthouse, should they be provided with that type of shot for hepatitis and that?
It is optional. It's not necessary. Is there a reason to expect that they would be exposed to blood and body fluids, other than like snotty Kleenex and things like that? But wouldn't be a bad idea. And, like I say, once we get our VaxCare, they can come there and receive that, or we can come here and do a clinic, or, so hepatitis B and A are recommended. C
Because you can
does
have that
not
and not
have a
even know it,
vaccine.
right? You can have that and not even know it, correct?
You
One-
could,
One form
yeah.
of it?
Yeah, there is, so like when I do a Medicare wellness visit, part of my visit that Medicare expects me to do is to offer everyone at least a one-time test for hepatitis C and offer them hepatitis B immunizations.
Okay.
So, again, this is just a list of the things done by Peggy when she was our emergency preparedness person. This goes down the different things. Community outreach mostly, and that we do have a new health educator, which we're pretty excited about, Lori Swinford, and she has really dug in, and she's doing training after training after training, and I think she's going to be great. And then this last page is just kind of a list of Wendy's duties and things that she does for the health department, and this is just a short list because she's involved in everything that happens there. So I did want to bring up, we're going to be getting a new, it's called the Local Implementation Handbook, Playbook, and this is the first one we've gotten. We're going to be getting a new one soon, but this just has a list of all the things that they are expecting us to do, starting, well, we would get funding at the beginning of next year, and we would be expected to do these. We'd have performance indicators that we have to meet in order to keep the money the first year. There's a thing about 20%, and the first year that money comes from our budget wholly. The second year, which you already meet, the money that you give us now covers that 20%. So it wouldn't be additional money that we would need, as long as that is 20% of the total that they're allowing us. Okay, so I just wanted to, and when we get this all worked out and that, we'd like to have a meeting with you guys and the council and just kind of explain it and what it is and what it's about, and maybe have somebody from the state come with us if you have questions.
What about the new program, when they did that research on the health, and the governor's office now is appropriating quite a bit of funds for...
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are these core content things that we have to meet in each category. The categories, just trying to go down the list here. The main categories are vital records, which, we're already meeting. Communicable diseases, that's the TB, and they're considering lead as well. lead has really blossomed with the new.
Where's it coming from? The reports on lead, is it from the drinking water? Is it from kids eating
Well,
some paint, or?
they changed the criteria for inspection, the normal values. So they changed them down to 3.5 to 5. And all labs in the state will send that to CHIRP, who then sends it to this NBS, which we have to watch. And when we see those in the 3.5 to 5 range, we have to investigate, at least by phone. We have to call, give education. If we get one that's over 5, then Debs or our nurse has to go and do a home inspection, educate on nutrition and sources of lead, and contact the physician to make sure they have a good evaluation. And we have to have a risk assessor go into the home to look for sources of lead. And that all has to be done, the state law now. So we have gotten, we kind of got them all dumped on us at once because we didn't get the training in a timely manner. So Deb's done all her part, and we're just waiting for risk assessors.
Do they send the water reports from the water utilities? I know we have to monitor lead and copper.
Uh-huh.
Do you guys get those, or is only alerted if you have a violation?
Yeah. And with this program, we will have money that we can actually hire somebody to go door to door, that program that you have, looking at well water, and, just going out there testing it.
Because really in a water company, it's such a small percentage. I mean, we had 850 customers, we had to monitor 20 houses. So the percentage of really is very small to really find out the true issues. Because a lot of older houses is where it's at.
Right, and I think there's a way that you can figure out, like, who all is on city water and minus the others, and then go out and seek out those people on well water. I haven't quite got it figured out yet, but I'm working on it.
But no, I'm saying it comes from most of the issue with lead comes from the people's house, not from the utility.
Right.
It's the stuff inside the house.
Right, but it'll still be good to check it. And the soil. The soil, some people still have lead pipes. The paint, of course, in the homes older than 1978. Paint has lead. Just lots of sources of lead that you don't think about, and that's what we're here to go out and educate and look for and try and prevent any neurological damage in these kids who are exposed. So, the list of things I said, vital records, communicable disease, which includes immunizations, infectious disease, TB, the tattooing, the access to care, which is where beginning in the summer we will have a public health nurse in the office every day of the week, so that it's accessible to everybody every day, versus one day a week, or how it's been in the past. So
Will they be going north at any point, other than just in the Clinton office?
well, we're looking into that as well. We were thinking, maybe looking for a spot to come up here a day a week and, have a nurse here, or we could use, we have the FQHC, thought about partnering with them on getting the kids' lead tested at the Cayuga Clinic. So there's a lot of possibilities, and we're just trying to put them all together and come up with the best plan. And that's the main thing we're going to be working on here for the next several months. And then emergencies, disasters, chronic disease. We hope to do a lot more education, trauma and prevention. CPR is all I can come up with so far, but getting more. We've got some bike helmets we're going to give away, things like that.
How's the Narcan coming along?
Narcan, it's not available until this month or next month that we can apply again for the grant. And so we're ready and poised to do that. Lori's getting her training on the Narcan, so she'll be able to distribute it and explain how to use it. So we're working on that. The environmental health, and there's maternal, child, and family health. We're thinking about becoming getting a CLIA waiver and offering, pregnancy tests, and working again with the FQHC to hook women up to services to get them on Medicaid for the pregnancy, to make sure they get prenatal care. And then we work with the schools.
Are you interfacing with Hamilton Center too?
Hamilton Center? Don't have any connection with them so far. There's a Jason Heck who runs the addictions program from Valley.
Do you refer to them, or?
I have not referred to him because as a doctor I'm not allowed, because they have to be their patients. But as a health department, I think we can work something out. So, and then we talked about the lead, and that's pretty much it. So,
Thank you.
any other questions?
Can I make a request at the end of the year that the Board of Health submits a attendance report of all the board members, so we know, so we appoint
Okay.
people, we would like to know the attendance, and that kind of
Yeah, I
helps
mean,
us.
we can send you the copy of the minutes. Has
Just,
the-
I'm saying it, if their attendance, great, if they're not, we need to know, we want.
everybody,
Good.
I can't think of anybody who has
Okay.
missed a meeting since I've been there.
Okay. But we're gonna try to do that
Is
by
that
every
because of you?
organization, just to keep.
Huh?
Is that because of you?
No, I doubt it. But yeah, I mean, everybody has been there, and we have good discussion, and present them all the things we're doing, and they seem to be pleased. So
I want to say thank you for coming. I mean, you've been here, this is your second report, isn't it?
giving
Annual
the
report.
quarterly reports, and this is my
Yeah.
second annual, and I'll probably be back in maybe April for the quarterly for the beginning of this year. And
Okay.
just trying to keep you updated on what we're doing, and let you know that we are working hard.
I think you're doing a good
Thank you.
job.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody have any questions for Paula? Thank you very, very much. GIS Standing Committee on I'm not having.
There was a meeting the other day, and updates on GIS. What came evident from that meeting was that there's really not much organization to it at this point, still not. And we have people that are on the rolls as editors, some just for viewers, but it's not necessarily being managed. And I'd like for us to develop a committee, standing committee, to actually make recommendations on the GIS network and how it should be handled and who should be on it and kept up to date as far as the editors and the protocols. Review those as whatever's in the handbook, but otherwise we don't really have protocols. It was evident that from talking with Think that they didn't have, it was all word of mouth. So, and that's to me is a little dangerous, that the interpretation is by the individual, and so I think that needs to be garnered in and solidified on who's on the system and who's not on the system and who has certain editing and so forth. So by next meeting, I think if we can come up with 3 to 5 members that might be have the capacity or understanding of the GIS network and implications of it, it'd be helpful for the county. Something near to the IT committee, but different.
So how we want to handle this, just send them to the auditor? Anybody got a recommendation?
I think the 3 of us need to come up with members and appoint them to that standing committee, and then write a description as to what their responsibilities are. Similar to what the IT committee is going to be at some point in time. I would hope that we have a description of what they're going to do and how they're going to work as so it'd be on the same
So
board,
next
except
meeting,
instead of IT, it's GIS.
You guys want to have the names for that? Is it going to be a 5-member board, 3-member board, or does it matter?
3's fine with me. If we have 3, as long as we have at least 3 individuals that are interested in it and that will
You know,
actually
we have more qualified
participate.
candidates, go to 5, you know, if it makes sense.
It's fine with me, but no more than
More than
5,
5.
but no less than 3.
Yeah, I'm good either way. I'd probably just request a list of the editors and the ones that are actually using it, because like myself, I couldn't tell you anything about GIS. There's no way that I would feel confident sitting on that committee. But if I can get a list from Think or somebody who is using it in Vermilion County, and I'd probably just go ask them to sit on the committee, would be my recommendation, because they probably have an understanding of it.
Okay. Okay.
There's at least 3 on there probably.
Yes, I mean,
So,
So by next meeting, we are going to have some names, and who's going to write up, how are we going to write up the
I have absolutely.
I think
don't
we're
know,
probably, really,
I'll write
if
it.
we,
I'll write up a
okay,
description.
but if we look at it as a dual purpose, that write-up, because we're going to do the IT people,
Yeah.
it'd probably be the same.
Do we have a
Yeah,
write
just
up for the IT?
added it, but I'm saying that, huh?
Do we have a write up for the IT?
No.
committee?
I'm saying if we use the same format of that and just change the
Change the-
description, it'd be easy.
Take IT out and put GIS in?
I mean, you know, I mean,
I understand what you're saying.
so you're going to take care of drawing something up for that?
Mhm.
Okay. We're open to suggestions, so if people want to serve, we would be very.
And
open
it
to
doesn't
this.
have to be on the list either. It can be people that are not using our system, for that matter, can be, if they are.
For someone
familiar
with
it,
some type of technical background.
Preferably, yeah.
Okay, next we have some engineers here to make a presentation. Butler Fairman, Super Engineers,
Seifert.
Michael
That's our
Waldron,
house.
and Jonathan Olson.
That's correct. Try and keep this short and sweet, but just like to introduce our company, as we will be submitting for the countywide bridge inspections.
Okay.
That have been posted on the NDOT website. And as you mentioned, we are with Butler, Fairman, and Seifert. Our company was founded in 1961. I started with BFS in 1983, and Jonathan started, I think, around 2010, somewhere around there. So I will pass out these info packets when we get finished here, and then when we get done, we will, if you have any questions or anything. But I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan.
Sure. I don't know how much you guys know about Butler, Fairman, Seifert. We're a multidisciplinary firm here in Indiana. We do all sorts of transportation-related stuff: roads, bridges, wastewater, trails, airports, even. We have right-of-way, full-service firm, really. Yep. And you know, like he said, we're interested in submitting a letter of interest for the countywide bridge inspection project that you guys have advertised. So we're here to make introductions. My name is Jonathan Olson. I've been at BFNS for
About 13 years.
Yep. And I've been doing bridge inspections for most of that time. I've inspected over 3,000 bridges, seen quite a few different things, very interesting stuff. Great bridges falling down, I've closed plenty of bridges, so I've seen it all. BFNS is one of the leaders in bridge inspections in the state of Indiana. We're one of the top firms. We have a seat at the table. We have a ACEC NDOT Bridge Inspection Committee where consulting firms partner with NDOT and go over, you know, changes to the program, and we get a voice in things that affect us and ultimately affect you guys. So we're a part of that. BFNS has inspected, say, almost like 25 different counties probably in the last 10 years. Currently we do, I think, around 15 counties or something like that. And you know, we're kind of scattered all around the state, and I think we have lots of good references for the work that we've done. We have about 7 different bridge inspectors that are certified by NDOT. We have lots of PEs, professional engineers. I'm one as well. And we have a bridge department of about 15 individuals that help us complete our inspections. I don't know how familiar you are with the program, but schedule is very important for the bridge inspections to be compliant with the federal highway, which really, as long as you stay compliant with federal highway, that helps
allows federal dollars to keep flowing into the county for other federal projects. So it's an important requirement. And I'm trying to think what I was going to say. Apologize. What BFNS does differently that some others may not do, that we like to pride ourselves on, is we're not just going to come and inspect your bridges, hand you a book, and walk away. We're going to sit down with you. We're going to discuss it. We're going to have a work session with anyone that wants to be involved in the county. Talk about, okay, we inspected these bridges. This is what we found. These are our recommendations. Here's how you get from point A to point B. We provide recommendations on funding mechanisms for when you have major projects to get done, and talk about different options and ways to pursue those and get those done. So I think we provide really a full service. We don't just stop at bridge inspections, and we pride ourselves on that.
You see any changes on the federal level as far as
Yes.
the money coming in?
I'm glad you asked that. The dollars, no. Right now it's the 80-20 split. So you get 80% paid for with federal dollars. But there's not a change in the dollar amount, but the federal standards have actually just recently changed. And it's a pretty major change for the program. Consultants that do the inspections are going to have a major change going on these next couple of years. You guys won't see as much of that change, but we follow a coding guide on how to code all these different items that we collect out there. The last time it was updated was in the 90s, and it was in metric, so it gives you kind of an idea. It's a little outdated. So it's some major changes coming in the next couple of years, and it's going to be interesting as it steers through all these changes. You'll see some changes with frequency. So typically, most of your bridges are inspected every 24 months. You'll see some changes. Some bridges drop to lower frequencies, which you probably already have. And some of your good condition bridges are going to be going probably up to a 48-month inspection cycle. It's what we call a risk-based frequency. So the higher risk bridges get inspected more, less risk get inspected less often.
What counties are you around here that you're working with now?
None immediately adjacent to you. We just started in Benton County. We do, I'll have to look at a map. I'm just going to think about which one. Clinton County, and then further south, Greene County, but none of them kind of right around you. We have a very large group in southern Indiana that we do.
As these are coming up on the website, we're getting out there.
Mm-hmm.
So your Vermilion County came up on the NDOT website, so we wanted to come over and introduce ourselves. So.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. Just wanted to, we'll be submitting. I think it's on March 14th is when it's due. So.
Yeah. One other thing that failed to mention: our company's we're Indiana only, so we have about 6 offices throughout the state. I have about 200 employees. So.
What's your closest office, Indy, to here?
Probably to here is Lafayette office.
Lafayette.
That is our second production
Sure.
office. We have 2 really production offices: Indy and Lafayette.
Okay.
I take it you guys have never had the bridge inventory in Vermilion County?
That is correct.
All right.
That is correct.
We get like 50% of that reimbursed, don't we?
Hmm?
The bridge cost of bridge inspections. Of,
You get
80%
on the dollar back.
yeah, you get 80%.
so.
I knew it was pretty high.
Yeah, Butler Framingham Cyber is probably, if not the leader, we do
They're
probably
getting
more
that
federal
aid.
aid work than any other firm in the state of Indiana. And this is considered federal aid.
One of the problems we have is keeping up with when they're due and being able to make sure that the information is submitted in the
We know
time frame, I guess.
we're aware that Vermilion County is very unique. You don't have a road superintendent, so.
That may change.
So, but we would sit down and meet with whoever you want us to and make sure that whatever, before it goes to final print and gets submitted to NDOT, you have that opportunity to get it done.
Yeah, but to answer your question, we've never had an issue with timeliness.
We
We have a big staff
Sure.
to be able to handle that, so we can flex our muscles a little bit if we need to, so to get things done.
We need that. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for
On the financing, are you hearing anything else about something come down from the federal government as far as more money for bridges?
Well, there's
With
a
this
couple.
new
there's a couple different projects or things available. I'm not probably an expert on that to speak on that, but there's a lot of federal dollars right now coming out, and I know Indiana's doing a good job as well, making funding available for. I think Indiana's definitely ahead of the curve in terms of other states in making funding available for infrastructure right now. So
You do have this federal aid, which is, I believe, if this one call that just came out recently, which was due, I think, in January or December, those bridges that you applied for, I think that's 2028 construction. And there's also something called Community Crossings money, CCMG.
Yep.
Those are eligible for bridges. The people on that board really want more bridges applied for than roads. So if you applied for a bridge, you're almost, but a lot of people want the road money to maintain their roads
Yep.
as well. So
And we like to be able to, like I said, once we deliver all this information, sit down, working group, kind of help you guys come up with a plan. So here's your issues, here's how you get from point A to point B. And
We did
to address
Britain got our first bridge last year, the first one we ever got.
Oh, yeah.
We usually do pretty good on community crossing grant, usually about in between $1 million and $1.33 million a year, and it's been a tremendous help. Because they changed when it first came out, the community crossing grant was 50-50. And then they changed it to all counties under 15,000,
Yeah.
75-25, and it really helped the small counties. I
Yeah.
mean, we've cleaned up on that. That's the greatest program ever had as far as assisting local
Yep.
government.
And if you have larger bridges that are, more costly, going federal aid is the way to go, because you get that 80% reimbursement on that, so.
Yeah.
We're just getting in the saddle for that, so.
it's good.
CCMG is a faster track than the federal replacement.
Of course, it's a long process of 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, yep, it is, yep.
But
And
for
that's
20%.
why having good planning in place, because all these projects take such a long time to from start to finish. So
Right.
being proactive is important. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
Thank you for this
Appreciate it.
opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. Dawson Consulting contract for 2023. Okay.
I emailed Kylie about this, so is this something that's every few years?
I think it's two years. We haven't signed a new contract with them since I've been here. I pulled it, but I didn't look at the date. The only thing on the contract has changed is,
Is there any way they could do a presentation or something?
pardon me?
Is there any way they could do a presentation or something?
They didn't fill it out, and put dates in there. The one thing that George sent off to insurance, and one thing that he indicated that there is no professional liability insurance here for this, and why not? I guess that's a question to be asked of the firm.
I would like to more understand it more.
Well, it's not a very, I had no idea what it was for until after, I think I asked and then you told me who it was, but there's no real indication in here if it's even for Child Protective Services. So it's rather like sign this and send me some money and we'll send you something back maybe. Seriously, it is. It's-
I would like for them to come, and I'm not against it, I'd just like to be more educated on the process.
And define and say what it is for. It's helpful.
What do you think? I mean, are you,
I don't have any issues with them defining some of this stuff. I mean, it's something the county's done for years. I don't think they'll be objected to any of these questions if we ask them. I just don't want to hold anything up in the county. Is the thing up or? Okay, yeah, then I'd be fine with that.
okay, so we're gonna get some more information, right? We'll agree to that.
Yep. See him at next meeting, right?
Is there a date that needs to be done by?
Okay, next we got status of vehicle request, Ron Mack.
Ron Mack Server. Before I get started, these engineer fellows, I've been working with their company for about a month on the Dana resurfacing. They need some information about the regulated drain. Pretty sharp.
So they're the ones overseeing the contract of that.
And it took me a week and a half to find the easements I finally found them. Got the description, sent that to our attorney to review because some of them are 75 foot, some are 30 foot, depends where you start measuring them. Once Ethan looks at it, we'll probably end up bringing it to you guys to review and clear it because county roads involved, state highways involved, and regulated drains involved. So it's a little bit bigger than just resurfacing 71. Okay, so. And the engineer I'm working with is out of the Lafayette office. So, and they're the ones that's doing all the NDOT engineering. Okay. So anyway, in the last 2 years, I've had 4 flat tires. I've had to replace a tire. I've had 4 extra oil changes over and above, plus numerous cleanups of my truck getting out there. And I discovered that we had an old Jeep sitting up at the highway garage and asked permission to use that, and had tentative permission from Tim and RJ. So I asked Brenda about plates. The sheriff thought he had the plates. No, he didn't have the plates. And come to find out, we had a municipal paint in the auditor's office, but we didn't have a registration to go with it. And I said, nope, I'm not driving it till I get a registration. So then Brenda sent off, and technicality on the application, we never got the plate, never got the registration. So I hope we're in the process of doing that. In the meantime, Mark O'Hare's truck looked like it was going to become available. I thought, boy, that's a 4-wheel drive, that'd be a better vehicle. But since talking to talking to Neil Costello and Vigo County's experiences and talking to the deputies, I'm not too sure that's a good truck. So I did withdraw my request for that truck this morning, but I still would like to use that Jeep and or one of the Explorers that when it rotates out of the sheriff's department. But now I don't know if I'm getting a vehicle, going to use that or not. So that's what I'm here to find out.
Ron, I still stand by my earlier support in the fall, winter, whenever you asked for it. The Jeep, the sheriff didn't sell it. We listed on GovDeals. It didn't sell on GovDeals. I believe it's a prudent use. I think you're making, substantial improvements in the surveyor's office, and I think the county at minimum could spare you a Jeep, that is just sitting up there right now, not doing anything. So I would like to see Ron get that if another commissioner would agree to that.
So there's a Jeep that's sitting somewhere.
It's been up there for what, 2 years? About 2 years.
I don't know when the sheriff took it out of operation. I think it was parked in multiple different areas, and eventually it got taken up to the highway garage.
Yeah.
But I'd say at least at the minimum a year, year and a half.
Yeah.
Still
That's a
starts and
two-wheel
runs.
drive.
Yeah, it still starts and runs to my knowledge.
Yeah.
I sent that in back in November, didn't I?
Hmm?
Didn't I send
Oh,
that
you
in?
sent the paperwork in November, and we never heard anything, and I finally called them last week and found out that even though the commissioners are the owners on the registration, it shows as being purchased by the sheriff's department, and so when Brenda filled out the paperwork, it would be for the surveyor's department. They wouldn't accept that. If you're going to transfer it between departments, the DMV requires a written explanation of why it's being transferred.
Nice.
So that's what I wrote on that form. Gave it back to Kylie.
Did you get it? Is that okay? Not yet. Okay.
So right now you use your own vehicle,
Yeah.
and
Every time I go in and out of the courthouse, I make about
how
2
many
trips
miles have you
carrying
logged
tools.
on that and billed the county? I mean, how much, you've been here, what, 2 years now?
Yeah.
So how
Damn,
much?
I don't know. I can't tell you off the top of my head. Probably, what, $1,000 maybe?
What?
Probably $1,000 in 2 years.
No, I mean mileage.
Oh, mileage? I don't have any idea. My truck's at 166,000 miles, and I don't want to put any more mileage on it. And I certainly don't want to haul the winter mix asphalt around to plug my holes back up once we decide what we're going to excavate and what we're not going to excavate. So
Well, I think, even speaking to council members, most council members seem to be in agreement that
Yeah,
if the
yeah.
commissioners could find a vehicle for Ron, that they would support that.
Yeah.
I've spoken to Neil, I've spoken to Ron, not Ron, Rick, I
Rick.
stand corrected. And they've all asked if there's any spare vehicles, but, I think the Jeep could be a short-term fix, and maybe even in the future, the Vermillion County Reserves age-out vehicles as
Yeah,
well,
and there's one coming up, and so John Benton's looking for me.
Okay, yeah, so that's,
Um,
and I think the
There
council.
was a suggestion to use the courthouse pickup, but if I load tools up in that, then all of a sudden Terry doesn't have anything to haul trash in and paper in and do all the stuff he has to do.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't be prudent to interfere with what he's doing.
If you get this vehicle, what do you want to do with it? I mean, are you going to take care of
Well,
all the
I'm
maintenance?
going out and I'm doing all the heavy leg work for the surveying crew. So I'm finding the spots and doing my best to locate them. And that's costing the county at my tremendous salary, $9.65 an hour. When they come out, they can bring their GPS equipment, they can pinpoint it, they can set all the reference points, they can go back, and then they go back to the office, and that's when they get into the heavy-duty research, cross references, and so
And
it
this is
produces a
for
type of.
22 points a year,
Huh?
22 points a year.
We're supposed to be doing 20, and we're right at 20 now, but we really didn't get a good start last year, so. We've been to 18% of the locations in the county, but now we're at the point where we're verifying those to actually develop the tie cards. So we uploaded 4 tie cards today, and I think in the next month we'll have 3 more ready to go. And a lot of that is based on data we're getting from Eli Lilly.
Are you notifying property owners when you go out to those?
Typically I
by
do.
mail?
Typically I do.
By mail?
No. I either call them or I go see them.
Who has this
Might wanna
truck?
look at statute for that.
Huh? There is none. You don't have to. You don't have to notify them.
You might want to read the statute.
There is no trespassing on that.
We would ask if you would. I mean, it's
Oh,
just.
I always do.
I mean, 'cause
Always
that's, we don't need that trouble.
I always do.
Who has this vehicle now and who had it before?
It's setting up at the county garage.
And was it the sheriff's department?
Sheriff's Department used it for errands and transporting lab work, is my understanding. Mike
Mhm.
said he didn't use it for anything else. It wasn't any high-speed chases, or detectives used it. So it wasn't abused. It does have a new fender on it, but nobody seems to know why it is.
What year is it? You know?
It's in 2007
Maybe 7, maybe?
or 8,
Yeah, it's not over 2010, I know that.
Do you know how many miles on it roughly?
about 160. So if it's not that one, then, the sheriff's department's gonna have some rotating out too. So I've got John Benton watching for that.
If you get this vehicle, how will you take care of it?
How will I take care of it?
I mean, your budget, I mean, is it something that is totally,
I assume, probably for no more than it is, my mileage, I'll just transfer my mileage allowance over to that, submit a transfer to the council and have them transferred over.
I'm just saying, if you would get it, what would the liability of it would be totally yours, and when there'll be no liability for the county to take care of it.
Well, it'll be on the county's insurance program. Fleet insurance.
And would it be something that would sit here and only used from here to the place, or would it be taken home, or what would it?
Well, if I'm way up in northern Vermillion County, it doesn't make any sense to drive all the way back to Newport and then come back to get my truck. So probably we'll take it home.
There are some issues with vehicle usage that came out, I think, new stuff from the state that we're gonna have to put out. A lot of people aren't gonna like, but it's just part of the requirement from the state.
But I'd be in it every week. It wouldn't be like tax assessors who sits there for, a long time, doesn't get used. It'd be used.
Your thoughts, Britton?
It's an administrative position. You're supposed to be hiring out for land surveyors and professional engineers to do this work. He's not supposed to be out there doing this. I'm
I'm
not
not-
in agreement that it should be, for 20 days out of the year, for him to do this type of work is not appropriate. It's administrative. He's not a land surveyor, he's not a professional engineer.
Don't have to be to do what I'm doing. That's the reason why we're paying them $70 an average, actually an average of $80 an hour.
That's
I can do all the
fine.
legwork for $9.65 an hour, and you're actually paying them to do the technical work that's required by statute.
So for 20 days out of the year, no, I don't think it's a good investment by the county.
It's not 20 days out of the year. I'll be out 2 or 3 times a week, except when it's bad weather.
What does it cost to put another vehicle on insurance and stuff?
Varies around $800 a year.
How much?
8
800?
roughly.
This one may still be on the insurance considering it was never sold. I would imagine it's still listed on the insurance, would be my guess. And I know Ron also would probably, yeah, and I would also imagine you'd probably use it. I'm sure you've taken your personal vehicle out for, you know, I don't want to say disputes, but of, you know,
Yeah,
county
every
highways ask
time
for you to do
somebody
stuff.
calls with, and it's gonna happen as soon as the rain hits.
Yeah.
I'll be in St. Bernice 3 or 4 times, I'll be in Blanford 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
If, yeah, I mean, I would like to, I don't know if there's gonna be a lot more discussion, but I would like to make a motion that we transfer the Jeep to the surveyor's office for his use.
The gas and stuff for this will come out of your budget? All repairs come out of your budget?
Come out of my budget. And I'm not saying that I've got enough budget to cover everything, but I would have to go to the council and ask for additional appropriation. It's just like when we started doing all the stuff that had never been done at surveyor's office. It's kind of a learning curve. We'll have to see where we go with it. But I think we've proven that there's a lot of work to be done. I've proven, I think, with my monthly reports to you guys, to the council, and to the community that I'm out doing the work. And matter of fact, I've had, in the last week, 4 people in my office begging me to run again.
Not
So-
me.
Anyway, I would like to see the breakdown of the costs and that. And you say you have a number on that?
Yeah, I think
Okay. And I also the council, he said he talked to the council. I haven't talked to him about this.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, I know I've made a motion, I haven't heard anything, no second or anything on that yet, but I think several council members do agree with this that I've spoken to, but at the end of the day, it's an administrative decision by the commissioners, and I think the council is waiting on us. You know, they can talk to Ron all day, every day and all day, but they can't do anything until the commissioners either accept the transfer or deny it and say you don't need anything.
That's right.
So I would like to see us make a decision tonight if we could, either tell Ron no or tell him yes.
That's all I'm asking, for a decision. We've batted this around since November, so time to make a decision.
So the cost of all this will be totally on you,
Me and my budget. Mhm.
because the only possibility I see if something happens in this vehicle and you come back to us and say,
I won't come back to you.
who you would come back to.
Oh, I had to come back to the council,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
We're not roadworthy and stuff like that. We could get it.
I've not had much cooperation from the surveyor's office, gone out and dug holes in the roads and so forth, and you're still open since whatever, November, or November or so. I'm just not in favor of this happening. The issue is that the land surveyors are supposed to be doing this work. It costs about $750 per section corner, and that's what statutorily is required to do 5% of these. We're ahead of that game already. For this vehicle to go out, if it would have a wreck, if it do anything other than just keep running, it's going to cost the county money. So it's not an appropriate use of funds. It's an administrative position. Ron takes it beyond that, considerably beyond what is county surveyor's supposed to do. There's only very few, like 4 or 5 things. There's things out there that are required statutorily, that is. If we look at the things that are advisory, there's some other things that are in there, like GIS. I'd have to pull up, actually I can pull up the list, actually.
What I'd like to do, I'd like for you to give us a report of how many miles you use a vehicle, and let us make sense of a decision. I asked you how many miles you did, I mean,
All I went on was RJ said he was for it, and you said you was for it. You'd send me a letter. I never got the letter, and I took your word for it, and we proceeded down that road.
and I asked you a question to submit some documentation on how many miles it is so it makes sense. And that's all I'm asking.
Brenda has that. We can get that.
Is there a, Tim, is there a number we're looking for on how many miles?
No, I mean,
Well,
I'm
is
just saying, this whole thing it's not just him. It's going on in the county. You can ask Brenda, because we're assessing usage versus mileage. And a lot of times it don't make sense, and a lot of times the state, there's some percent of the state with that involved too. So I'm just saying, if I'm gonna make a decision and you come up and you say you got X amount of miles, it makes sense. But if you come and say something else, it might not make sense. Yeah, I'm trying to justify.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of miles I haven't turned in. I was going doing something, and I stopped, took care of personal business on the way. I stopped at Walmart, or
I
I stopped
understand
and got a
that.
loaf of bread, or
And that's
got
part
an
of-
oil change, and I
that's-
never turned that mileage in.
And that's part of what they're saying, that we're gonna have to start keeping track of it.
Well-
You can't, if you're out on a business venture, you can't stop in at Walmart. If you do, that's a Walmart trip.
That's right. That's the reason why I never turned the mileage in. I'm here to serve the taxpayers of the county, and this is a tool that I need to do my job,
Yeah.
period. And either you want me to serve the taxpayers, or you don't. Just that plain and simple.
So the insurance would come out of RS, general fund, or would it come out of him?
He's in the general fund, so it's all, yeah, it's all under, the insurance is under the commissioner's court, which is where it is for all of them except.
Because a lot of stuff anymore, they're looking at, we need to be paying mileage instead of paying for a vehicle. That's kind of where we're going. And if I tell you something and tell someone something different, I mean, then we got to be able to justify that decision. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying yes, I ain't saying no. I'm saying if you know how much it is, because when you look at it and there ain't that many miles, it don't make sense to do it.
How am I supposed to turn in all my personal expenses on my vehicle as a result of me doing my job?
I'm saying how many miles you think you drive for business, for the county, and then, because you should be reimbursed somewhere, I don't.
I get mileage, but that doesn't cover 4 tire repairs at $20
Okay,
a
but I'm
pop.
saying-
That doesn't require a new tire at $80 a pop. That doesn't require oil changes at $80 a pop.
But I'm saying you turn that in, right?
Yeah, but that
Okay, so
49 cents
how many
doesn't even come
miles-
close to covering that.
How many miles is it a month he's turning in?
I don't know, I'd have to look.
Okay.
I mean, it's separate, it's
Okay.
taking there.
And I need it to carry these tools around, get out and do the things, do my job, instead of carting them in and out of the courthouse all the time.
So is there any policy and change coming up on that we need to be aware of?
It's not a policy change, it's a policy that has not been implemented.
Is it by the state?
It's actually by the federal.
And so does that say they have to leave the vehicle at the place instead of taking it home? They can't take it home?
So the sheriff deputies won't be able to take their cars home?
Sheriff deputies are the only ones that are different, are exempt. Yep.
So,
elected officials they're not exempt?
I'm sorry?
So elected officials, they won't be able to take no vehicles home? Because I know a lot of counties, they have taken home vehicles for a lot of, like
You
vehicle.
have to file it, you have to claim it as income.
So,
You have to claim it as income.
what's, I'm making $9 an hour, I think I can claim that as income. God.
I don't want to see another expense to the county on this. I mean, if it's something that totally is yours and not, you know what I mean? Not
Say that
yours, but
again?
in your budget.
Yes.
You know, 'cause I've seen this time and time before, if someone gets something, then they come back, something happens to it, and then they say, well, here it is, it's a piece of junk, your fault. It's not.
No, it's not. That's the reason why I'm steering away from the Dodge vehicles.
So are we setting a precedent here that will cause us any issues, you think? I'm kind of reserved in a way. I mean, because because like, you know, just like you said, you told Tim Yoakum did this and Tim Yoakum did that, and it's kind of like you've said stuff that I personally feel like I've been attacked. But I want to see the county go forward, and I also want things to work, but the only way I can see any possibility is this, or there would be no liability to the county, and every bit of the cost comes out of your budget, and nothing is done.
And that's what I'm saying, you know, once we know what it is, then we can go back and ask for additional appropriation. And I think I've got council support for that. But
When you said
I don't know,
additional-
I don't know what to ask for if I don't have anything, any place to start. You gotta start someplace.
Did you have that in your budget, I'm saying, to get the money?
Well, that's what I'm saying, if this happens, then I can go back and ask for a budget transfer from mileage to this vehicle. Or however the council wants me to turn the bills in.
I think
Brenda
if
wants me to turn the bills in.
I think if the commissioners transfer.
Whatever's legal, you know.
Yeah, I think if the commissioners agree to transfer this vehicle to the surveyor's office, and it breaks down, or Ron needs new tires, several council members have recommended just getting, you know, off-road tires to help you. I really don't see them denying a request for that. I think a lot of them speak highly of the surveyor's office and the work that they've been doing. So I really, Tim, I don't think I see an issue with that. I think if Ron does have issues with the vehicle, I think the council will support him with any, just like they would any office, like the assessors, anybody that has a vehicle, if it goes down, they go before them and they have to justify why they need a new vehicle, or justify why they need new tires, or et cetera.
I don't need a new vehicle to get out in the brush and the briars and across the creeks and go across the fields and I don't need a new vehicle for that.
As long as the county incur no harm here, and I know Britton said it, you know, is creating some exposure for us, more exposure. I'm concerned about that.
Well, I think with that, Tim, with that exposure, I think we might be a little less exposure with the surveyor's office than we would if still being in use at the sheriff's department.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I think the sheriff's department
Hopefully I don't get anybody shooting at me.
Hopefully.
I make a motion, we move on this.
There's already a motion on the table. He really should have had either a second or no
I
discussion.
second it, with discussion.
I don't have any more discussion.
I would just like to see
Did you make a second?
He didn't.
more discussion as far as
I'll get you the cost.
what?
I'll get you the cost.
A cost.
You know,
And-
if it
and if-
passes tentative, whatever dollar amount you think, you know, I understand that.
And the commissioners are not responsible for the status of that vehicle at all. If it breaks down and comes,
No. The only thing you're responsible for is your name is on the title as being the owner, you know.
and then we get sued, it's us. So I hesitate, but I'm going to move on this, and like I said, I'd like to see a report of something, the actual cost of it, and we'll go from there.
Well, I imagine the sheriff's department's got a cost on that vehicle.
Yeah, they're probably
Because
doing
it's
the
an
records.
asset number, there should be some cost associated with it somewhere.
Call for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, gentlemen.
RJL contract, it says not received. Did you not get a contract?
Thank you, sir.
TJ Collette, RJL Solutions. Last meeting I presented a proposal. The proposal I presented is the exact same scope inside of that contract. That contract is the exact same language as the previous contract that we agreed to last year. So in that last contract we had some changes to the RJL traditional contract, which we made that work. Specifically the indemnification portion of the contract is the exact same we agreed to last time. I want to be mindful of everybody's time tonight, but just a quick overview of what I discussed last time. Last contract had the rebranding process inside there. This time we removed that and then included grant development, so that's grant research and grant writing. We still have the relationship building, making sure Doug, and based off the last conversation, we'll make sure to involve the commissioners a little bit more in some of those processes. We're going to keep the state lobbying on the contract, and then include the marketing and PR, so any press releases, and keep running Doug's social medias. And once we get this branding finalized, hopefully on Thursday, we'll start implementing that new brand into all marketing efforts that we're doing for Doug. But for tonight, I'm here to answer any more questions. Tim, I know last meeting you expressed maybe you prefer the 1-year contract. This contract you're looking at right now is a 2-year. If the decision is made to go to a 1-year, the price will just be cut right down the middle. So,
Where's the price at on that?
Page 3, I think, or 2.
The third page.
Did you send this out before the meeting?
I did not.
Please, if you send anything out, give us time.
Sorry about that.
We're very good.
Yeah.
So it's $4,800 a month,
Yes.
so it's about 60, a little less than 60,000.
So yes, it's the exact same price as the previous contract, just doubled because it's the 2-year.
I think originally when it started was 48, wasn't it? In the 40s,
48 a month?
48 a year, 48,000.
No, I think it was 60.
Yeah, I think it was the same.
60.
Maybe I'm thinking when you had economic development. You had something with economic development for a while.
Well, that's who we were with.
I mean, back.
Oh, the
Prior, like.
yeah, the 3 years ago.
The original,
uh-huh.
Yeah.
That could have been different.
The questions I have is as far as this, I think the marketing, the branding, and the Facebook stuff and all that stuff's good. We need it. I'm more into how much can you do for us at the State House.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the future of our county depends upon people at that level.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe we have that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I would like to see addressed as far as with your contract, how, I mean, you got all this up listed, and I think and everyone, the commissioners can weigh in on what they think, but I think one of the biggest things, I mean, you put down some stuff now I think is pretty good, and need to market the county, need to identify it, but I think it's time that we start realizing it's time that we start have a presence at the State House. And I know we need to holler at our legal representatives. I know Doug goes up there, but them contacts up there are what will make this county go or not go.
Yep.
And I don't know if you guys are on that level. I am questioning. I don't know if you guys have the ability to affect very much. And if you say you do, how do you? Give me some type of.
It's very hard to give specific examples where only I can leave you at my word. RGL's biggest asset is Rachel Leslie, who founded RGL Solutions. I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody else outside of RGL, Rachel Leslie in general. I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody else in the state of Indiana that has the relationship with First Governor Holcomb and other leadership within the State House, specifically local legislators. Actually, definitely local legislators. I think Rachel Leslie has, if not the best relationship, one of the best.
Well, could RJL point to anything in Vigo County? I always hear the commissioners in Vigo County speak highly of RJL, going to the State House on behalf of projects, like maybe the casino as an example?
Yeah,
or-
so the casino is one large example that happened when I was not president of RGL, so I can't speak to actual actions that were taken during there. Another big push that RGL completed was the food and beverage tax, which paid for the convention center. Another large project out of Sullivan County, which Sullivan County wasn't the client, but Brampton Brick, Chris Eggy. We made a weight change for the amount of weight being able to be hauled by a truck. I can get you a list. There's many more than that. But I'd say those are three of the biggest ones.
One of the things I do have that I would like to see, and I guess I'll be working with you guys on this, is the READY grant.
Yep.
And so what all do you have to do with the READY grant?
So the READY grant and READY Round 1 was submitted by the Wabash River RDA. RGL is contracted by the Wabash River RDA to manage and create that submission. So all projects that get put into the READY grant first go through RJL facilitation. Not just me, but honestly probably everybody at RGL is part of that process. We're in charge of facilitating all those conversations, bringing the projects to the table, and then actually our marketing department puts together the actual submission, including the presentation to the IADC.
There's not going to be a conflict of interest, is there?
And
If you were going to assist us with the READY grants because you're so involved with them at this point?
involved with the READY grant? No, definitely not, because if we're representing the RDA, we're responsible for representing all the counties that fall under the RDA. So in that process, we have the region's best interests. And
What about our county's best interest, though? That's what I'm getting at. Not the regions, but if you're being a proponent for the county, is that going to be a conflict of interest because you have a regional presence in the development of this? Would that be a conflict?
in READY Round 1, we didn't find any conflict. We were working with Sullivan and both Vigo County at the same time.
That was federal, though. This is going to be state.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the actual rule changes. I know that there's a difference there, and I think we're waiting on the legislation. Personally, I don't think there's going to be any conflict of interest, but I can start conversations with our executive team to see. But I think that, I just
I
don't
don't know
think
if it makes any difference, but I have a better comfort level that you can come out and actually say that you have no conflict of interest if you're going to be representing us, and this is probably one of our major goals for this year.
Sorry, I thought I said that a little bit earlier. I wouldn't see any conflict of interest there.
One of the, we going to have come July, I'm planning on having the paperwork done and ready to submit for READY grant. Is that the
As far as
time
projects go?
for project?
Yeah.
I need to know, and the county needs to know, what is that date? Talking to Greg Good, he said if I have my stuff ready by July the 1st, that's a good date. And the problem why you don't get grants is because you ain't ready for them when they come out.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got an ambulance facility, we're going to try on funding, and I mean, if you are the contact on that, I need to know, and you guys will communicate with me and let me know when I need to get it, because we definitely want to be in line to get that grant.
So specifically at RGL, we haven't started any processes regarding the READY grant round 2 because it's not passed yet.
Right.
As soon as that's passed, that's when we're going to start
There's
those
$500 million.
conversations. But yes, Greg Good led you in the right direction, because if it's the same as last round, the application will actually be submitted. I think last time it was in October of 2021.
Okay.
So that time frame gives us a good amount of time to be able to.
Okay, but as far as me and the county, we have this project, I should be getting something to you by July the 1st, or you'd be the person, who should I be contacting on this?
Either RGL Solutions or the RDA.
Or-
Yeah. Doug has economic development. Yes, either myself will be working hand in hand with RGL Solutions. I think the reason, and I don't mean to step on TJ's toes, is we can't answer a lot of questions because legislation hasn't been finalized yet. And so these are all hypothetical dates. I guess in theory, tomorrow the rules could all change and everything could be moved back. So we're giving you hypothetical situations because legislation hasn't been passed yet.
And
So-
I'll add one more thing, and even after legislation is passed, the IADC will then make
Still
their own
change it.
rules.
Right, yeah.
You know, so it is up in the air. I know that the chances, if you ask people in the State House and other lobbyists and other firms, the chances are very high that it's going to get passed. But at the end of the day, we don't know right now.
But like I'm saying, we're trying to have something
Yeah,
ready,
right.
and that's
Yeah,
that's the
of course.
key.
Yes,
ready.
and I think those are the most important conversations to have, is having projects that are shovel-ready, ready
Yep.
to go, and not just in theory that we would like to have X, but actually have blueprints ready to go, because I think that gives the Wabash
It provides the most competitive
right,
application.
and shows that you're ready to go, and those are shovel-ready projects that they can say, here's X amount of dollars, now go build X, whatever that we're talking about.
Okay. So
I'm in favor of your proposals, but I'd like to read it. I don't like
Yeah, that's
reading
fine.
today or hand it over to
Yeah,
the manager.
and I'll take responsibility for that, because TJ and I were talking. I thought 2 weeks ago when he passed out everything that was part of the contract, I found out literally tonight that it was just a proposal. So I'll take the hit on that. That's my
We'll
fault.
split it 50-50.
Yeah, so
Well,
I
it's
thought
just-
he had passed it out
Yeah,
already.
it's not a big.
it's a
that's-
standard that
so-
we, if someone
Yeah,
brings something,
and we
just out of
understand that,
respect,
so
give us some time.
I apologize. So.
And I am in favor of a longer term than the one-year contract as well, so it's, I don't think that there'll probably be an issue with this, but I'd still like to read it.
And if I
that's
could
completely fine.
get something made from you guys about how you market us on the state level, just something that, because that's important to me.
We'll put together something a little bit more in depth of what we've done at the state level as far as marketing and also just conversations. And then I'll also resend what I presented last meeting with the list of things we've
The
done.
bullet points. yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I can do both of that.
Very
Thank
good.
you all.
Okay, said last meeting was going to have our recommendations for an IT committee.
Tim, did we skip over B by chance? The
Over
RISE
what?
agreement? B on the agenda, did we skip over that? The VCD and the RISE agreement, Doug has? Right above the RJL contract.
Yeah, we did. I'm sorry about that.
You're good.
That's fine. Yeah.
Again, Doug Hess, Economic Development. So 2 weeks ago, on February the 14th, we were here with that contract, and I know that we decided at that time to allow additional couple weeks to see if there was any additional questions or suggestions regarding that contract. We have Eric Oliver again here with us tonight to answer any questions and give us an update on any conversations. I believe that was supposed to be between John and Eric to work out. So we're here to answer any questions that you may have. Eric, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add.
I talked with John last week. We swapped voicemails and for the first few days of the week before, and then we talked last week. He didn't have any requested changes that he made to us. The issues that we still feel that need addressed, or I guess I wouldn't say need addressed, that we want to stress on this issue are: this is a one-year agreement. It does automatically renew, but either party can terminate agreement. It provides for, obviously, the increase in salary for Doug. It provides for an increase for Ann as well, and then as well for the vehicle. Those, as Doug said last time, obviously if the agreement goes away, so whether if the Economic Development Commission says this isn't a good fit or RISE says it isn't a good fit, those are not anything, those would go away because the budgetary amounts would not be in there.
That we would have no decision in that.
As to the budgetary side, I mean, that would go to the council. And the council...
No, I mean the decision.
To terminate?
The decision. So you say the council, on either side do it, you're saying between them and two, there's no mention of the commissioners in there.
Correct. I mean, that's the issue we talked about 2 weeks ago, where this is agreement between Vermilion County Economic Development and RISE. We believe it's a good partnership to, come to the commissioners and have their backing on it, but ultimately, it's my position that the agreement does not require it. Now, some further matters with it do, in terms of there's a vehicle that is part of the agreement in terms of some of the funds to be used, and that would be a vehicle that would be owned by the county, so that's a commissioner's vehicle. The amount that the council has addressed, and that was brought up in the December meeting with the council, the economic development has that in their budget, or which the council said they would do a reappropriation, but that is addressed in there, $872 for that vehicle insurance. We would also want the blessing of the commissioners, or permission of the commissioners more than blessing, to put the county markings on the vehicle, because we believe that's important as well. So those would be the issues that would need your direct consent or approval to, but those, in terms of the finances from those, are being addressed by the RISE payment, which has already been paid to the county. It's just a matter of now we're waiting on.
Well, I think one of the things about the car, I think that the council was very straight on the car issue, and then it disappeared, and then it appeared again in a different way, and I didn't appreciate where that happened. I'm talking about myself to the commissioners going on. I've talked with people in the council, and I think that what we have going on right here, we have to sit down and have a talk with with your economic development and the commissioners and the council. I believe that we have some issues that we need to iron out between us. Don't have nothing to do with the RISE. I see Doug working. I know what he does, and I support him. I think we have some internal issues we need to deal with in a meeting, and I don't believe we're ready to move on this at the present time. And the rest can weigh in.
I agree.
We have another meeting before the next council commission meeting,
Check and see if they're available.
and discuss that. But there's, like I said, it will have nothing to do with the RISE. This meeting will have nothing to do with the RISE. It will have to do with the council commissioners and the economic development.
And what are the specific concerns?
That will be addressed then.
I mean, in terms of being able to talk to the commission, it would be helpful to know what the concerns are so we can be prepared for a meeting to discuss. That was the request for today, was to talk with John and iron out any details. And
we could form questions and send them to you for the meeting so you could work on them. Yeah, we won't blindside you. I would rather take time to make a decision, make it right, than move too quick and be wrong. I mean, you can't go back and correct once you make a mistake. I mean, you do something wrong. And only I'm saying is, if we do this, and I'm not against it, but I am against doing it wrong. And I think there's some things that internally we need to talk about, and at that meeting we can bring up our questions and talk about it. And it's not a dead issue. I'm not saying it's a dead issue. I'm saying that there's things there that we need to talk about and discuss, and we can do it at that meeting. So that's my recommendation.
I mean, from the economic development position, the request was made on February 14th to talk to Mr. Spur to go through the interagency agreement. We talked about that to see if there were any changes. There were no changes requested. We talked to the county council on December 12th and discussed this issue, and there were not concerns, at least in the minutes, about the issues, and specifically it was addressed a vehicle. At that time it was a lease, but now the dealership says it would be $16,000 savings for the county to purchase the vehicle. So the same amount of monies were discussed there, and there were no concerns.
I listed a number of concerns I had at the last meeting, and I'm not in favor of this at this point. So either we can continue this and continue our discussions, or otherwise, well, I think that's where we're at. So
I'm offering it to talk about it.
I understand. I mean, the request you gave to me 2 weeks ago was talk to John, Mr. Spur, and go through the agreement. I did do that. We're back here with that. There were no changes that were requested to us, and I mean obviously ultimately it is your decision in terms of the vehicle issue. in terms of whether it would be a county vehicle on that side. You know, there are questions in terms of can we go another way. I don't think I would not make that recommendation. But in terms of the agreement, it does not require the commissioners.
Well, there's where we'll have a real problem. So I think we probably ought to
Let's-
terminate this discussion at this point.
Let's
I know
just,
there's-
Yeah, I would-
I'm making a recommendation on it, and my recommendation is we have a meeting, talk about it later. Did I get a second on it from you, or I mean, I'm just saying.
There's no
Well,
motion.
Where we're moving
Yeah,
this.
I do have a couple comments for Eric. Eric, you did speak with John multiple times via email, phone calls, and he did say there was no changes in that RISE and EDC agreement, right?
There were none that were brought.
So
to me.
was any of the commissioners, I know Britton did respond back, and he said he was against the agreement, and I responded and said I had no issues with the agreement. Tim, did you have any?
I've talked to people, I've talked to the council, I've talked to other people.
Well, I mean, did you talk to John or?
No.
So
I talked
this-
to John earlier tonight, yeah.
Well, I mean, like the 2 weeks where we were
No.
supposed to, okay. So I think that's where Eric was kind of getting at with the
Yeah.
agreement. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if John is against saying you guys can't do this agreement, but, you know, if you don't need the commissioner's approval for the RISE EDC agreement, you know, my opinion of the matter is I would tell you to continue and move forward with it because Doug is doing work out there and, you know, the RISE has already shown payment willing to pay for this. Now the vehicle, the emblem and stuff that does need the commissioner's blessing, I would like to also see that approved, but it doesn't sound like that'll happen tonight. And maybe that's a discussion for a later date like Tim suggested. And if it is, I think it is prudent if you guys have questions or concerns to get them to all the parties, the EDC and the council, because I haven't heard any of these concerns besides Britton. Britton did state some concerns at the meeting and in the email. And we'll just disagree to agree on certain things, you know, which is what happens.
Part of the problem here is you're a physical type administrative unit, and you're
Well,
not
we-
an executive unit, and
This-
therefore, I don't believe that we should continue this discussion at this
No,
point.
I understand your position, and we can disagree on some of those positions, and ultimately, it's your guys' decision whether to, I guess, table the matter, but from our perspective, we feel we fulfilled your request from 2 weeks ago, is what that's really the position I'm trying to stress with that. I understand your position, and I respect your position, and I can respectfully disagree with your interpretation of it, and that's what governance is for, is to have those discussions and debates. So those things are good things. Just from our perspective, obviously, we're disappointed that we waited 2 weeks for that situation. And I think you can understand that side of it. We want to get moving on this agreement, but I can respect the idea of wanting to learn more. I mean, I completely respect that due diligence issue. It's just a matter of,
But you are representing the county also, you realize. You're not representing the commission, you're representing the county when you make these recommendations and so forth.
I represent the Economic Development Commission, is who I represent.
Which is the county. They are the county. So
I-
you're representing the county when you make these recommendations, that you are not representing a client of the commission, you're representing the commission for the county.
I
And that
represent
you're-
the-
We just had more discussion, and and it's the only way to do this and do it right is, let's get together and talk about it. You got a possible meeting, and I know that what you guys want to do, and I'm saying I'm not shutting the door. I'm saying there's some things that we just need to get there all together and talk about it, and to say, here it is, lay it on the table, and so everybody's on the same page and move on. And I check with other people too on this. When I make a decision in this courtroom, I call other people and get advice. And I don't know everything, and there's other people, and there's people I confide in, and I've talked to those people, and the majority of them said you need more discussion on this. And so that's where I'm at.
Well, I would, whatever meeting we set, I would like to see it sooner than later, and I also would like to, like Eric pointed out, I'd like to see these points sent out for discussion prior to the meeting, because if you show up to a meeting and blindside everybody at a meeting with questions or things, I mean, they're not going to be able to answer them if they need research.
I agree.
So yeah, I would like to see a meeting scheduled sooner than later. I don't know who wants to coordinate that with the council and the EDC and the commissioners. Okay, sure.
Would it be before the next commissioners meeting, or what we want to do?
Well, the council.
Or we need to ask them?
Yeah, well, I was gonna see if the council meets on the 13th.
As soon as we can. I mean,
So I thought maybe if we did it at
Yeah, that would-
Meeting prior to.
Yeah.
I can make a special meeting if need to be. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm here to,
Yeah.
Well,
here
that
to.
would have to be a special meeting, but we could just put the council and commissioners in.
So
Right,
we'll-
we have to notice our meeting too, so.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
I said we would have to do our notice
Yes.
too, obviously, in that situation.
And how much notice you need? I mean.
40, same, we're in the same,
Okay,
in terms
okay.
of statutory, same
But
notice.
that's the date I'm looking.
What is date you're looking at?
March 13th,
That'd be.
13
Eh,
days. Tomorrow's the first.
No, but is that the meeting?
Monday.
I know, but a meeting that night is
Their
Council.
meeting starts at 6:30, so.
the council
Tell
meeting.
me.
That'd probably be a
Would
good.
it be too rough for you guys to do it earlier in that night, or do you want to do it on a regular night at 7 or something? You know, I mean, it's all depending on what people can do.
I mean, from my perspective, obviously, if we have questions beforehand, if questions in advance notes beforehand, there would be a potential, I mean, it would be my desire if I didn't have to come out, because you guys don't have to pay me to come out. And so if I have questions that I can answer those questions and provide to my client, we can go through those matters and make sure that we feel we have a unified approach to it. I mean, that would be, so the sooner I can get the questions from my perspective, and if I get it, say.
So,
I'll
rough,
check with
is 13
Ashley.
days too long for you guys, or would that,
I mean, 13 day, I mean, obviously we want, you know we want a meeting
Yeah.
as soon as can, but at the same time, I don't want to get to the place where we say, we push it, you know, and say, 6 days we're going to have a meeting, well, then still no, we don't have enough time to get all the
Yeah,
questions
I
answered.
think,
So
they
then we-
definitely want the questions
Yeah.
submitted to them. I think maybe,
I think 13, I think from that side, from my perspective, is
And we're all
sufficient,
for-
as long as we get,
Yeah.
you know, here's the questions or the
is
points.
there something the commissioners, and we can ask Ashley to do this to her members, set a deadline for
Yeah.
each 10 members, or the 7 council members, 3 commissioners, and say by Thursday the 2nd, or by Friday, March the
Yeah.
3rd, have your questions submitted to.
2 days.
Well,
I think
but if
we
they
had a-
have the
I think
concerns now.
From my perspective, if we had by next Monday.
Okay.
That
But
would
I mean,
be,
you,
I think,
to
enough
solicit
time
the
to
questions,
be able
concerns,
to-
and.
to go
That's
through
right. And
it.
also
And then
it-
if I look at it and I say, we can't answer all these, I mean, I'll reach out and
and
to
also
John
if you
and-
have questions for us.
Right,
Same
right.
vice versa.
And I
It
can reach
just-
out to John and say, we need a little more time, and then
Yeah.
we can always
It's just
have
good
to reschedule
communication.
if that's the case.
You know.
So,
So all questions by Monday then, is that, or, okay.
Be next Monday.
Yeah, next Monday, yep.
Okay.
The 6th.
I will be gone the 17th, so long as it's before the 17th. I'm going on vacation. I just want to let you know.
I'm gone the next week after that, I think, so, yeah.
Okay, and we need to form up a letter that would send out to all the council commissioners with that would
Mm.
justify that, so they would know.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much. Now I'm getting back to the right one, right?
IT standing committee.
IT, okay. The last meeting we had, we said that we wanted recommendations for an IT committee. And I have 5. I mean, you guys can look at them, see what you think. I mean, they're all,
I looked at them right before the meeting started. I don't have any objections to them. I reached out to Mike Phelps. He had some questions. He didn't indicate yes or no if he would take it, so I can
Okay.
reach back out to him again and say, hey, can you give me an answer?
you want me to read the names off?
That's fine, yeah, if you want to.
Brandon Kelsheimer, Chad Lindsay, Jason Zuka, is that right? Z-U-C-C-A, Bart Turchi, and Bart Mooney. And we'd like to see them probably have quarterly meetings, you think, or something like that? Or
The
just-
GIS committee,
huh?
or IT committee,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think that's that committee.
Because what else, what we got coming up in IT here for long that we need to have?
Well, you've got,
You've only got the contract till
you've got,
9 months.
yeah, the contract will be out, and they need to make some recommendations on, looking at our budget if, and the council kind of already shut down the IT person, but, and maybe seek out some proposals, or maybe we seek out different proposals.
That'd be big to have people do that.
Yeah.
That'd be big.
July is the budget when we have to have things in, so there
Yeah, it
should
needs to be
need to
by-
be a recommendation for at least fiscal year 24 by July.
And the money runs out in October, ain't it?
Yeah.
Money
The
run out
council
in
will probably
October.
have to reappropriate some funds for that.
So there needs to be 2 recommendations for FY 24 and then dovetail into
Yeah.
August.
So, this is not a committee that has any, it's mainly
Yeah.
just
It's a
advising.
recommendation.
So it's okay for me to contact these, you all agree?
I'm in favor of those 5, yeah.
You'll hand up. Okay.
And if Mike gets a hold of me and says he wants to be interested, we can,
Throw him on there.
okay.
So it's a very much needed group of people. I still remember when they came out with that $360,000. What has it been that for?
Yeah.
I'm glad somebody else can handle that. Britton, we're deleting the professional services, right? That there, you said delete it for now.
Yeah, we're still, have not heard back from them yet.
Okay, the courthouse occupancy and space use, that's still nothing on that yet, right?
Courthouse, that's being, it's under development right now.
Okay.
There's nothing to discuss.
We'll have a
yet.
meeting on that. The courthouse annex, did you get that print?
Right, Eric, was this it?
Yeah, and so, I'd like for you to take those print and look at them, and you guys, we need to get
I've been
together
looking at 'em.
and decide on what you think is the
Yeah.
best use of the space.
I will say the Soil and Water Director, I talked to him today. There might be something coming up where the library is getting renovated down there, and they may be looking for space now.
Okay.
So I sent him in the direction of emailing all three commissioners and the auditor with his request, but he acted like he could use the entire annex if, I don't know if he was going to use something else with Soil and Water or what, but he had an idea, so.
Okay.
But he didn't want to recommend it if we'd already decided, and I said nobody's.
What's his timing?
He said he's finding out about it now, so I don't know if the library board or the Soil and Water board, he said it was kind of fluctuating really quickly,
Okay.
so he just decided to reach out, and he didn't want to, recommend it if we already decided, and I
The
said.
annex isn't gonna be ready for anybody like next month.
No, I don't think it's that. I think he just didn't want to recommend anything if we'd already allotted, say, the health department or whoever.
Right. I
So-
think that, I wish I had that list of the recommendations that they recommend, because there's some things, got to put new heating, air conditioning, and some different things. I mean, we've got quite a bit of stuff to do there for we're
There's
getting
things
ready.
to be done, but
Yeah.
we still,
Well, you can reach out to Eric Scheidler or be on the lookout for an email from him, because I'm sure he's going to
is
email.
this like a full-time move or is this a part-time? move?
The way I understand it is a full-time move. He sent me a couple texts, and it was just kind of brief that they may be looking for a space for him, his staff, and maybe Ron, do you know anything more about it?
Well, nothing's finalized yet, but there's a pretty good chance that Vermillion County may be getting a district conservationist.
That's maybe what it was, yeah.
Well, back to this, we need to take a look at these prints and hopefully come up with what we
Well, there's-
would like.
Well, it does make a difference. I mean, one of the things I've been looking at is the possibility of the public defender and we need a place for them. And also the probation department possibly moving in there. The question is need to meet with them and look at the distinctive office space requirements and their need for separation, if you will.
Yeah.
Between clients and officers and whatever. That's just, I made a call today and just started that thought process. One of the things that came out of the but the town hall, they had 5 individuals show up at the noon or 1 o'clock one. Nobody showed up at the 6 o'clock. But one of the things that Nina had mentioned was the flow of work and the continuity of work, and then discussions went on about the number of people that are traipsing through every floor of the courthouse, getting to the courtroom, and kids playing on the banisters up there, walking on them, and that's an accident waiting to happen possibly. But there's a number of issues, and then security issues from the first floor, and then security issues in the courtroom. A whole host of things came about, and the thing I took away from that one was, well, the theater idea is kind of out. Nobody, at least of the 5, there was no support for it. I've not really heard support from any place else, including at least RJ. I don't know about you, Tim, as far as an arts type thing. But with that being said, when I started thinking this through a little bit, with what they're saying is that court room that's upstairs needs to be downstairs in that auditorium area. And there's some possibilities of traffic flow, and security issues with having the desk or the first floor security of bringing people in, of being immediately available to the courtroom as well. It's all in just a thought right now. It's not. But also, if we would have probation on across the street, and if we did have a courtroom downstairs, if they also needed support, there are doors here that they could actually come from that to here as quickly as well. So there's a whole host of issues there that of people not having to come through every floor to get to the courthouse or to the courtroom, and also to maintain security and being able to move people in and move people out and keep it in a defined area, if you will. Because it's just, I've been in here before, and
It's not good up on the third floor.
whenever they're
That's
having
rough.
something going on, well, it happens quite often. It's not an exception by any means. The other thing is the idea is that then this courtroom be opened up. Again, these are just ideas. And the Commissioners Court would move up one level to the next level up. This room would be repurposed into other things at that point. One of the comments that was made early on was that the court sometimes has to have more room or more availability for the larger sizes, and they've actually had to have court down, I guess, at one time in the auditorium because of room. That would give us the possibility of actually 2 courtrooms available if the need would arise. It also gives us a possibility of a meeting room that's a little bit more maybe conducive to meetings, and depending again on configuration and things. I can see this actually developing well. It's just a matter of how the real bugaboo with it will be the cost potential of depending on to what extent that we would carry this as far as a courtroom downstairs as compared to what the courtroom is as it currently exists. So
It needs to
makes
be-
a difference
it
as
needs to be
to if we're
investigated.
And they have,
moving somebody in or
they
not.
have used this courtroom before.
Yeah, it's been,
Yeah.
a lot of things have been used, but it's, to me, that when Nina and the prosecutor were talking about the flow of work, I don't know if they were thinking that direction really, but it started making me thinking that we really don't have a very good flow of business in this
Yeah.
courthouse, so.
Years ago, they did the study, jailhouse study, they did it on the courthouse too. And one of my recommendations then was to move the court down there, in there, because it would take care of all the traffic, the risk. It would be limited to that spot. I'm not saying doing it, I'm just saying that has always been a thought of mine too, because then they could bring people in the side door, they don't have to go in the courthouse. I mean, it would be a tremendous help security-wise.
Well, it's,
And
yeah,
it-
it's huge.
Yeah.
Because especially if we, if probation can go to the annex, you keep all the people checking into probation out of the courthouse, so they're in their own building over there, and if probation has an issue, it's isolated to that building.
And you have the public defender there, so we kind of keep, and then on the first floor, we keep the prosecutor.
Yeah.
There's enough separation of the.
When you're not
entities.
having jail staff, deputies transport, inmates up the elevator, up the stairs. They're literally right there, and really it's kind of hidden. The auditorium is. I mean,
Yeah.
you can come in and not even realize the auditorium's there.
They'd come in that side door down there, and that
I think
secure
it's
place.
I think it's a good idea. I even talked to the prosecutor about that a couple years ago on the council about the moving the court down there, and I thought it was a good idea then.
Because you go up there on the third floor sometimes, and it's
It can be rough.
Well, the thing that really concerned me was the kids walking up. I don't know why if we're not going to do something up there, we probably need to put glass up around where you can't get it over the banister. I just see a kid or someone falling over that banister at some point in time, and they end up on the first floor.
The other thing too is,
And we will have paid for a courthouse at that point.
the other thing too is, this might be a time to address some of this because there'll be a new judge.
Well,
There's a different perspective
we're in a
from-
transitional period, and I think that's
That
helpful
kinda
too.
makes a difference.
But it just makes sense to me when I think it was Nina that said that, it was when she started going through her motion of how she viewed the courthouse and viewed the auditorium and viewed the workings of everybody in the courthouse. It kind of started making me thinking about that, so.
I think it ought to be further.
I think we should take it a little bit further and look at the possible moving of the.
It makes total sense as far as secure this building. And
I
that's-
just don't know the
that's-
cost, but
Well, I
You know,
mean,
it's
as
not
far
gonna-
as security and flow, like I said, when they did jail study, that was something I came out and didn't go.
I'm sure courthouse security would appreciate it. I'm sure the sheriff's department would. I don't know that anybody would really object to, maybe the clerk, does the clerk's office work pretty closely with I mean,
Can you drive in on, you know what, if you could drive in on that concrete right into that and let the people out, it would even be,
yeah, it's a
You know what I
thought
mean?
right there.
There's things that can be done that makes some sense, and, you know, the clerk's office doesn't need to be, there's things that can be changed there too. They're not using all the space that they've got now, and that was one of the things that came up when the courthouse use study. So, there's other things that can be done.
you had something to say?
One thing I've noticed is the accessibility of the veterans office, and that's the only thing that really concerns me about some of that down there. Some of the veterans come in, they're not in very good shape. I don't think you want to challenge them any more than you have to. That's the only thing I got.
But the access even into that area is not all that good. It's got to
No,
have lifts
it's not.
and
Yeah, it's
stairs
not.
and
It's not.
tight
It makes
spaces.
total sense.
Uh,
It really does.
I agree.
Actually, I wanted the VA to move into another office downstairs, but that wasn't in the thought pattern right now. Now, anyway, it's all thought right now.
Makes sense.
Well, let's keep going that direction, at least investigating it. You always
I wanted
have
to-
some
I
people
wanted to
not
get
like
with-
it.
I wanted to get with the two offices and see if those offices will work, because I think it will, and I think it'll serve them well, but
Well, the other thing with the Defender's office, that's 3 counties, right? So there is actually some financial,
Yes.
makes
we'll
sense.
get at least half of that building would be kind of theirs, so half of that could be,
Revenue
there
producing.
is money to come back to the county because of that.
Well, even the reconstruction part.
Right, the purchase, well, the whole thing, we can start doing things with that.
Recoup even the purchase price somewhat.
Recovering half the price, including the remodeling of it, so.
That makes sense. I think we're moving in the right direction, and we're not here to make big moves. We're here to think and talk and figure and whatever works best for the courthouse, so. Okay.
Sticker shock may be something that comes about, but it may also be a matter of doing something over a period of
So,
time and not everything at once.
We need to get it back to this on the prints. Where are we gonna go with these prints, or we needed to figure out who we're putting in there first, and then.
I think those need to be discussed with some of the potential office
Okay.
holders and see if those offices, that's not the one, there's another.
This got 4
There's another
different.
one. Okay. But anyway, it needs to be discussed, and then I think we need to, again, after we get that discussion done, if we still want to continue, if it works for them, then continue that process.
But the public
thought
defender
process.
thing is no friction with nobody. I mean, that could go right in there. I mean, that's almost we're almost sure on that one there.
It looks reasonable to do
Okay.
at this point. And minus, the public defender, I think will be happy with it. There's questions whether probation can be happy with it, so I think they can too.
So are you gonna talk to probation, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just let me know, I think probation will, I can't speak for them, but they need space, and I think they'll probably like to move, I mean.
And
just-
I think earlier, the thing was that the judge liked having them there as far as assistant and being close.
But if
The
we-
new judge might not.
But if we move if that moves downstairs, then you got
You've
two
got two
officers sitting right
officers.
outside the door. If they want more, then they just have to make duties with the sheriff on
Yeah.
that, but.
But back to that courtroom, it makes, I mean, even if people don't like it, it makes sense. It's logic, it's safe, it's.
There's a lot of different configurations that I've been working with for the auditorium that will make it work for a lot of different things, including what they're already doing, so it's got some potential.
So we'll wait to hear from the probate, or from you on the probation and public defender?
Mhm.
Okay.
And that'll probably happen this week.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope, assuming David is available to talk.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to talk to him today, he was busy, but,
But since we already know what needs to be done outside, why don't we go ahead and start getting it fixed?
I'm sorry.
The stuff that has to be done externally in the report.
Oh, I didn't read that part yet.
Well, I mean, there's a new air, I think the one on this end, they said replace the air conditioning and that there. I'm saying, those things we already know we gotta do. Well, how do we go ahead and get them started?
Well, we've got some money in the budget, 89,000 maybe. I don't know how much is it. I think I put in 89,000. I don't know if it went through council or not in the budget.
Yeah, something.
I think it is.
That sounds about right. Like maybe 85, something like that.
But anyway, we have monies. The thing is though, is that we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We need to make sure that these offices are going to be where they're at, because when they start reconfiguring the ductwork and things and the load and things, it may not be configured right and have to go back and redo it. So we're not that far that we can't wait a few days.
Okay. Well, we're
And
gonna.
I think we need a total price on the thing too. I hate to see us piecemeal this and then everybody says, you spent what? Or I would say that.
But only that I'm saying, if there's things
Not anybody
externally,
else.
if there's things externally gotta be done.
Yeah.
And it don't matter, we do it now or do it later, why don't we go ahead and
Well, if
see
you
if we
want to
can
do,
get that stuff done?
again, I don't know how much money we're going to end up with for it, if it's 85,000, but the roof needs to be replaced. Whether it's this year, it's definitely going to be replaced next year, but it should be probably on the slate for
But
this
then
year.
the question is, you talk about the roof, we're gonna leave the back part on it, did they decide, did it show the drive-up thing on there?
The window is still, I think, in there, whether it's the drive-up window or they took that window out and put something else in, is another matter.
Okay.
And I don't know if they could use the window. I don't know if probation, can you drive by
Can
and
you
drop off a
check-
sample?
Just saying.
Can you check it? That could be some, that could be something
I don't know if they
innovative.
can
I
do
mean,
that or not, but if there is, you can drive by. and-
Maybe we could be the first county that you drive through to
Drive through
check
probation.
in
Drive
probation.
through probation.
That's what I mean, you
Scan
check
your arm.
in,
Put your arm in there.
check your ID and they're good to go, get them out of there.
I don't know, but,
Okay,
All right, let's go back.
let's move on.
Oh, it's 8:30.
But, so
but
you're
just-
gonna,
but the roof would be something, if you wanted to do something, the top that,
I just wanna assign things, you want me to look on the outside and come back and figure out what needs to be done and bring it back to you guys and
If
come
the,
up with
roof,
something?
if the roof needs done, I'm in favor of seeking quotes or proposals on that now, and we got enough people around, Vermillion County, I mean, a lot of local ones that can do it.
And
but-
would we wanna advertise for services of what we're gonna do, it'd be the best way to do it. But we can still choose who
for
we
the
want.
amount
you
of
know,
money
if we-
that's being spent there, I think you can get 3 verbal quotes or something. You have to look at under
Okay.
25,000.
Yeah.
There's a process that you have to follow, whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay.
that's the minimum that you have to do anyway.
I'll write on my
More than
hand
that, but-
that I'll start looking into
I think
that and see what externally that can be done and send you guys something, say this is what we have, which direction you wanna go,
Yeah.
and then we'll go ahead and
I
move
know
on
the
that.
bank was
The
going
roof,
to
I'm in
replace
favor.
this, if they kept it, they were going to replace it last summer's with what they were going to do, but, unless somebody thinks it's going to last longer.
I don't think so.
Okay, we're moving on.
Okay.
Courthouse county engineer, I talked with Jim Meese. He will said it will be in March. He's talked to an LTAP engineer, and he's going to conduct a meeting with them and another county. Another county has done this process, so he's getting with them, and we're going to meet with a county who's already done this and see how it works, because it's really coordinating, putting two things together, and it ain't that easy to do. So hopefully in this next month, I'll have something on that.
Can we take a break for 5 minutes? And then I'll
Sure.
be back.
Recess.
Call for a recess.
Recess. Anybody want anything to drink? We got pop and water back here.
Yeah, Kylie, give me those so I can run out of here whenever I get.
What time on the 13th? How much time do you think we're gonna need?
I think it kind of depends if we can get the questions, if we can come to some agreement in like an email before the meeting, it could be a short meeting. I don't mean.
What's that?
The economic development, the county council, if everyone's concerns can be kind of answered prior, maybe less than an hour.
Go 5, give it a little bit in between.
Yeah,
5 to 6, they start at 6:30.
yeah, maybe an hour and a half.
I just don't know that early night time if people can really make it working.
Well, I'll ask and we'll see.
Yeah, and see what the
see
council.
how many.
Yeah,
I'll
see.
say that 5 and then we'll see how many.
Well, the broadband stats, we ain't got nothing on that, do we?
No.
Nope.
Did Britton already talk about the town hall auditorium thing?
Yeah, he kind of mentioned it, it didn't go nowhere.
That's
But
what
that- But it did materialize in some other things, like I said, that,
I said that at the security meeting.
Yeah.
I said that to RJ Camp. I said, why don't we
Are we
put
sign?
everything down
We're not
there?
signing this yet, are we?
No, I can't
professional.
No.
See, it was 8 years ago when they did the jail study, and they did the courthouse study too, and that study should be somewhere. That was my recommendation, do it down there in their budget. It makes sense.
Recess is over. Everybody back to work.
All right, here he is, quit talking about it.
I
Okay,
heard it
we're
all.
gonna get rid of, does anybody have any public comment before we get out of here, so I can mark that off?
Mark that off.
Okay, public comment's gone. Broadband status, we have no update on that. I'm letting you know what's going on here. Town hall auditorium is standing, you've done, kinda cleared that, right? The town hall, that's, it came back and then nothing's gonna happen with it from that standpoint. What about the, we got, who has that? That distribution? Well, we supposed to have a,
Me and Brenda's.
deadline, weren't we, for people to submit?
It's 90 days. Me and Brenda's gonna send out probably an email. Oh, well, me and Kylie. I'm gonna meet with Kylie on that.
Is that's something council has to agree to too, or?
Yes. But we gotta make the recommendation on which.
And I did find out, I just got an email, I don't remember when, that we can actually use that funding for a match. So, and there are
Oh.
grants out there.
Nice.
So if we want to look at that route, we can go that route as well, so we could get some.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm trying to figure what people's gonna use it for. You know,
Well,
it just,
the council-
it's for
the council-
counseling, yada, yada, you know, you
Well,
think,
the
what,
council-
how can it really be effective?
Well, the council had mentioned, because there are 2 programs in the county
Okay.
right now that's not completely funded. So they were looking at trying to find a spot within that 10 pages
We had
that would be eligible.
somebody here last time.
Peer Court is one of them that's eligible for this money.
I like, since it's so little, comparatively speaking, I think that trying to get a match out of using it as a match
Yeah.
might be helpful, even if we have to supplement it with, if council would.
Yeah. Okay.
Can we cover some smaller things here before we get on your topic, because your topic's gonna take a while.
That's what I'm doing research.
I do have I talked with Duke Energy about the future of our county. I'm very, very concerned about the future of our county. And I asked them for a comment that I got directly from them today. And I will quote exactly what was given to me. The statement I have to read from Duke Energy is Duke Energy Cayuga Generating Station is a potential CT site, combined cycle, site pending a corporate approval. That is the word I have from Duke Energy. Duke Energy Cayuga Generating Station is a potential CT site pending corporate approval. That's all I can say right now. But that's from them.
CT is combined cycle?
Hmm?
What's CT stand for?
Combined cycle.
How do you get?
Gas, it's be a gas turbine.
GT or CT?
CT.
Okay.
C is in cat, T is in
Cat and Thomas.
Combustion turbine, maybe?
But anyway, that's what I want to say. Number 2 is I like to say that about the ambulance facility, we are moving forward on plans on that. The engineer today called me about getting the property description. He was going to survey it, and I told him we don't need to survey it right now because we need to just have a property description of it. And then if we move to the next board, as far as grant approval, then we would need to get a regular survey done. You agree with that?
I don't think we have to have it for the grant, but we need to have it
We
allocated
need to have the
that.
description. It will go along good, and not a survey, but have a 2-acre description of that.
That would be helpful.
Okay, 'cause we need that, and then, that's moving along good. They're getting ready to have another meeting with the ambulance facility, talk about that. I've talked with Ready Grant about that. The other thing I want to talk about, and Britton can confirm this, the jail is completed.
It's finished on the 24th of February. That brings up to a couple of things with that, though. I sent out the notices to the council, to commissioners, and I don't know who else, anyway, of what that ended up being as far as it's 1.28% under the budget line item. That being said, we've got a roof condition that's going to be the county. It's on the county. It was a pre-existing condition, I guess, that wasn't identified by our QAW in the original plan set. And it's been determined by Garmong, and basically Garmong has come back with, it's not a contractor issue either. It's, the contractor did perform to
Yeah.
the degree that their requirements were and the specifications were, so it's not a contractor related issue and it's not a design related issue. Therefore, it falls on the county. It's going to be somewhere, depending on what we want to do, it's going to be a $1,500 for a couple of years to somewhere around $2,500 for a 5-year, and then if we
40.
really want, it'd be
40,000.
40,000, yeah.
Yeah.
To actually get it back up to the par that the rest of the roof's in. So,
The leftover money that's left of that is approximately how much?
355,000, 354,000.
I just want to say something right now. I mean, Britton asked me if he could take care of the jail project, and I gave it to him. And I know we let him do it, and he's done it. And to have a $25 million project, oversee a $25 million project, and it comes in on time and on budget is quite an accomplishment. Amazing. And I want to say thank you for Britton for what you did. I mean, for $20,000 a year, I think we got a good deal on that large of a project. But usually it always was overruns and time, and this has came together, and a lot of it's from the oversight, and I appreciate what he's done.
I'd second what Tim says. That was a great oversight of that project. But I would say that I think 40,000 is a small amount since we spent like 20-some million on the jail. I think we need to spend the full 40,000 on bringing that roof, whatever that issue is, up to par.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
The issue is that we have monies left over, but I'm not sure that we can spend the
Okay.
354,000 without council's approval.
I would, if
I've asked John for an opinion
Yeah.
on that, but I didn't see the opinion come through at this point.
If even if we can, I would like to, if we're all in agreement, I'd like to see us fill out an agenda request then for the council for the amount of, if it's 44, whatever the amount is.
Actually, I
It's
did
in the
bring it up
40s.
then.
If we're all in agreement, I'd like to see we get on the next council's agenda whenever the earliest
Yeah,
convenience.
here it is.
For your consideration, review the cost to replace the metal roof in the area with new metal panels and inflations in the neighborhood of 35 to 40,000. And that's what I would recommend to be done.
Yeah,
If John says that he doesn't see a problem using that money, do you need to go to the council to use it?
I don't.
I believe we do.
Okay. So
If
we
John
have-
says we don't, then so be it, but I have a feeling that we,
Well, then there's one of three
because
ways.
first we spent all the bond money, and then there was council money that was going to be put in, whatever the difference was between the total. And I don't know how the council really looks at that, because it's no longer bond money. The money was allocated to the jail.
Right.
But I don't know how they feel since we've actually gone to final inspection, or, final inspection on it.
Well, I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah, I think, yeah, if John
If it's an additional, it'll have to be,
advertised and all.
yeah, we've already done that for March, so it'll be April. But if it's just a permission, because we don't have to advertise, the lawyers can tell us that, then we can get you on the March meeting.
The money's been allocated to the jail, but whether we can actually spend it, I don't know that we can.
Yeah.
So that however they say.
So if it doesn't have to be advertised, we can get you on March. If not, it'll have to
Since we're talking on an issue,
It needs to be a little bit warmer out anyway.
also, we have an issue there that our maintenance man needs a genie lift, a lift that he can get up and get to the lights and stuff. That's preferably a new one. That
He
would be.
sent a proposal for that. Again, that's something.
That's why I wonder if we could go ahead and include that in with
The
that
proposal,
same.
yeah.
Because it's needed. It has to be done.
Did he send something then
He did.
to you guys?
To me, he did, and I. did you
Yeah, he
guys-
forwarded it. I don't know if you were on any of them though, or Kylie, I'm not sure.
I can forward it to you in a little while. I'll send it to you. But yeah, it's something that's probably going to be needed.
So if that
Well,
happens,
will
that'd
be
be
needed.
April
Okay.
meeting. Or an additional, it's got a money in it.
I don't remember the price on it now. Was it
Was it 20,000?
19, 20?
And we can remind the council as well too, surplus for the county highway, we've almost got $15,000 in surplus that has been put back into county general that Neil suggested if we need it for anything to remind them that we've sold surplus equipment. We could keep it in county
Except for the
highway.
auction.
Yeah, from the Gov Deal site. Or if we need something else, Commissioners Court, we could say, hey, we've give you 15,000 back, we'd like to get that money back and use it for something.
Okay.
So that's a thought too.
One other thing is, we gotta figure out what we do about this building inspector. We need to figure out which direction we wanna move on it. We found 2 people that are interested, and we're not making any decision, but we need to figure out some way how they could be compensated. Or we need to come up with some type of agreement, and so we
that's
can move
what
on.
Yeah, and I had suggested that in emails
And
that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
how
I
we
don't
wanna do
know,
that.
are the commissioners ready to say, hey, $9,000 is what I think that's what's budgeted, right,
It's
9,000?
a little more than that, because you.
98.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be part-time, are we gonna provide them an office,
I don't see where you're gonna get someone for $10,000 to go to work.
Well,
And
the
you
thing
say-
is, though, is we need to readdress the fees.
Yeah.
There's no way we should be paying for a person to go out and do these inspections.
Fees should pay for
These fees should
the
be
value.
paying, now, we may have to have the seed money and a few things there, but those fees should be covering his costs. And if it's a part-time, it kind of depends on what the terms are that we're going to agree to.
Yeah, and I will say, I did do a little research reaching out to other counties. Park County doesn't have a building inspector.
No, they don't.
They're very adamantly against that.
Do they have a code?
They have a plan. They have a plan. It's not like what we have in APC. It's an area plan. It's the other one, like how we have a commission. I don't know. It's Roy Wrightsman was telling me about it, but they're adamantly against any building inspectors unless it's for a subdivision. And then
Well, they got septic inspections. I do work over there, and when you do a foundation, there's no inspection on a foundation.
No.
But you gotta follow code. And the only inspection I ever do over there is for septic.
And then Warren
That's it.
County has it how we used to have it. They had one person, John something, done both. They done the building and the director of the APC. And then Fountain County has no building inspector either.
And Park County is happy with their.
They said
The thing is, I think if you addressed and put in ordinance a code, then you're supposed to inspect for that.
Yeah.
I think and that may not be exactly a true statement, but I believe
So
it's close to
Now,
one.
the fees are going to the APC.
All that can be adjusted.
Yeah,
It depends on
maybe
what we're
should-
doing.
That could change eventually.
Yeah,
That's where
well,
it's going.
there's things that are going to have to be done with that anyway, as far as, and I hope that we'll address these things in ordinance so that we have a map of who's responsible for what as we go through there. Anyway, who are the 2? I met the one gentleman. Who's the 2 individuals?
I don't
What are we
know the
doing?
second one.
One was an individual that put in for it before.
Oh,
Penny had it.
oh shoot.
Steve Riley, I
Yeah,
think
Steve
it was.
Riley.
And then there's another gentleman by the name of
Myers.
Mr. Myers. He's a retired engineer. He's also a land surveyor. You might know him. So we just need to, tell you what, I don't want to do this job at all. I mean, if you want to take it over, I will try to give it to you.
like I
We
said,
need to fill it.
I mean,
What we're gonna
and
do.
we had confusion.
One.
Do what?
I got turned in today that needs signed.
Okay. But when it came up, the only reason why I'm doing this is because somebody has to do it. Believe me, don't want to deal with it, but someone's got to step in. I'm not doing a very good job. I'm telling you that right now. I can't keep up with it.
Well,
so.
and I had no idea that the adjacent counties didn't even have a building inspector. You know,
Do we have to get rid of our building code then, if we do that?
I don't know.
I
Fountain County said they ran theirs through like their AP. There was still some, because I asked them, I said, how do you keep all these houses, the foundations? And they have some things written out to protect the county or protect the, whatever you want to say, the
Those are
stormwater.
just probably the area planning,
But I want-
setbacks and
but the-
things like that.
But the statement needs to be made publicly that at first we offered that building inspector to go with APC, which made sense. I thought you might not, but I think you did.
I
But
thought it was
I'm
better.
saying it kind of made sense that they would oversee that and, they'd do the zoning and stuff and it'll all come together. But we offered that, I know I did, and they rejected using that in their, so now we're backed up and we have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we need to, I need to know some direction from you guys.
Do we know if
Don't
those-
tell me to continue being a building inspector.
I wouldn't ask you to do that. Are the other two interested in the current salary of 9,000? I mean, as a part-time wage? I mean, I know the Steve Riley individual, I think, is applying for the APC director as well.
Yeah. He's a good
Have we
guy.
got a resume or anything from the, we got one from Myers.
Yeah,
Did we get
I
one from
have his
Riley?
resume somewhere, and you guys might have been, anyway, send me an email and tell me what, and I'll get it to you. I know I have it.
Roger is so detail oriented, I mean, he won't miss a bent nail. if he's-
Who's that?
Roger.
Yeah.
Martin. He
Yeah.
won't miss a bent nail if he's done. He's worked for that engineering company over in Champaign.
And I think that the way it looks
Long,
to,
long
in
time.
my opinion, one looks better for the other one, the other one looks better for the other one. You know what I mean? They're kind of,
to do it as an employee or just subcontract it out?
well, if the if the $9,900 is include everything for an employee, they ain't no money at all. You know what I mean? If you figure taxes and, I see, we need to figure out a amount to charge for inspections, and that'll be the rate we pay them. I mean, I don't,
Well,
it's not a full-time
It's
job.
a matter of negotiating with the individuals. They'll have some, we've got two people, maybe neither one of them are interested in what we're gonna be doing with it, so. These inspections have to happen in a certain time.
I just want you guys to tell me what to do, and I'll try to do it. I just need to get it
We
done.
need to sit down, we need to take the two resumes, and if we have anybody else that's interested, have we advertised it out?
No.
I don't think we've advertised it either.
But area plan, the APC, we ain't got nothing to do with that.
No.
The zoning, I mean, we have no,
I'm talking just about the
The
building
building
inspector.
inspector.
no.
But then we need to interview them and find out, and then decide on which one we think is the most appropriate, and then see if we can come to terms as far as the compensation goes, so.
But I mean, most people would need, very few people would really be interested in a period for that amount of money,
Yeah, I
unless they're
don't-
retired, like,
Well, again, it's not
Yeah.
the 9,500, that's the seed money. We need to have actually the fees accommodate what's being spent. The county doesn't need to make money, but we don't need to be losing money on
Right.
this either.
okay. So we're gonna put an ad out in the paper? Is that what you all recommending?
I would like to, I mean, I know we've got two applications. I would at least like to open it up publicly, whether it's on the website or paper for 30 days, 2 weeks, whatever. And then, like Britton said, immediately go into interviews and talk to them. And we may talk to a couple of them, and they may say, nope, not interested, and walk out. It's a possibility. Or,
So-
like I said, if Steve, I mean, who knows, you could get the APC director to be interested in it. And I don't know if we want it the same way again, but
Well, that's the whole thing, the issue we
It
had
got
there.
so convoluted, it just, nobody knew who.
That issue was not good.
It's not good. yeah.
That's why we're trying to avoid something. Okay, so, do what?
I said the county doesn't have to have it.
Okay,
There's no statute.
okay. Can,
Um,
okay, so we need to put something out on that.
Yep, I got it.
Okay,
I got it written down.
okay, very good. Okay, Brett, you have some stuff, and if you can, you go kind of quick on it.
Well-
Because it's 5 till 9.
well, the
Or
bid-
we can, if you want to, just go roughly over it and give you more time next time to really explain it. I mean,
Right.
well, the asphalt thing, we probably need to award tonight.
yes. Let's back up and do that, Brett.
Do what? Oh, the
The
asphalt bids,
asphalt.
yeah.
You take care of that. That's your purview.
We got two bids on asphalt. We did not intentionally go out for bids, but it was included in the packet. And we did get two in, one from Milestone at Lafayette, Petersburg, which basically is north. The other one from Milestone South, which is just north of the I-70, 460, or 461, whatever it is, exit. Anyway, they're very close in price. They're the same company, or same parent company, but they are competitors against each other. So Petersburg came in at approximately $1 less, except for base number, for number 11, number 9 binder, number 9 surface, number 9 binder. Petersburg came in $1 less. when it came down to number 5 HMA, they were at 69. Petersburg was 69, and the other one was at 78.50 at South. So by price alone, the Petersburg overturns the South. So if you guys are in agreement, we can let the contract. You don't want it to be.
No, it ought to be according to the area. Both of them ought to be according to the driving area.
This is not an aggregate, though, unless John says that you can do this
I mean,
by
that's,
area.
I wouldn't want District 1 driving to Petersburg when they go to Terre Haute. That don't make
The
sense
price
at all.
is the same. Well,
Yeah, but the cost of going there. You know, that's the whole thing is, that's why we did what we did with the other contract
that was an aggregate contract. If John determined, or
Yeah,
if
that's-
somebody can tell us that we can do that same thing for asphalt, then okay.
Yeah, I would like to have that checked.
Okay.
I'm okay with that, and if we can't, then I would like to see it let to Petersburg since it's cheaper.
But if it, anyway. If it
But
can,
I mean,
so
really,
be
I
it.
mean, $1 difference and then the cost of driving.
If we can do it the same, or we can let it by area, I'm okay with that. But if we can't, then I think Petersburg is where we need to.
It's a long drive for you guys.
Well,
Yeah.
it's what
Yeah.
it is,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I think we're all in agreement. We save the county money by being conveniently located. That's what we want to do.
If we had gone out for bids, maybe we would have divided it up by area, but we
Yeah.
didn't.
Okay, is that all the ones you got?
That's the only 2 that we have, yeah.
That came in these envelopes?
Yes.
And how
You
much
give
is,
that back to,
how much does it run a
Douglas.
ton roughly now?
$78 basically. The base is 69 and the surface and binder is 77, 78 respectively.
$70 to $80 a ton?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, what a night.
Okay.
Wait, we still got 2 people out there.
What I'm presenting tonight is the concept of one county highway, and there's not any decision to make tonight. It's just listen, talk, ask questions or make comments, whatever you want to do. But I think it's a stark reality of where we're at. The other thing is that if we are going to go to a county engineer, I don't believe that we will find a partner county, say Park County is I think where we're probably heading with this, to want to have an engineer that goes with one county highway superintendent there and then come down here and have to
Yeah.
deal with 3 commissioners. Commissioners are hard enough to deal with. So.
Say that again.
So anyway, I don't think that will probably work out very well, where he has to come down and talk to RJ, and he come down and talk to Tim, and then he comes down and talks to me, and we all have a different opinion on whether it's A, B, or C. So, with that being in mind, keep that in mind, because this will show basically 3 costs. Now, there's probably other ways. This was actually developed a year ago, or a little bit over a year ago now. It used actually the county's depreciation on what was done for insurance, and what the cost that is in this is based on the value at that time and what we insured all this equipment for. When it comes down to it, this is our current organization. The highway districts are not aligned by the political districts. I don't know if everybody knew that or not, but basically the highway districts are different, though we have assigned a commissioner basically to south, middle, and north. Highway Garage District 1, the commissioner lives in Highway District 1, actually.
We're talking about highway districts, you're not talking about elected districts.
Right. The Highway District 2, the commissioner lives in actually District 1. The Highway District Garage 3, the commissioner lives in Highway District 3. Good for you. But Highway Garage District 3 is actually physically in Highway District 2. So
By road, we just move it north on the other side of the road to be in.
they can't do anything around them, but they go straight
They go
across.
straight north.
So Britt is responsible for my road.
Yes. And why do you keep asking me to pave it?
Don't start that. Don't start
I was
that.
kidding.
You
Okay,
better
here's the
take that
district. This is
comment.
effectively, in a small scale, what the districts are. District 1, the triangles are where the garages are located currently. District 1, District 2, and District 3. Those are the 3 districts. If we would go to, and this is the basis of a 2 district. Can it change? Yes, it can change. But basically, it's a North District and South District if we would go to a 2 district type map. And then there's where basically the Cayuga site is the garage stays there, and the Summit Grove garage will stay where it's at. District 3 garage would disappear with this. It could be used as a staging area still, but it would disappear with this 2-stage. Whoops. County funding revenue. The state of Indiana distributes to the highway fund based on this formula. Basically, it's 5%. This is what they do for all counties, how they give money to us. So all counties in Indiana get 5%. You look at all the road miles that each county has, and then they give 65% of that too. And then 30% is based on total registrations in the county. So that's how they divide up and give what they're going to give to whatever county it is. And we do it differently here in our distribution of funds. District 1 gets 40%, District 2 gets 30%, District 3 gets 30%, is how it's broke out currently. If we look at this, and this is the top underneath the yellow is the population and road miles and percent of road miles. This is just data here. It doesn't. It's used to go underneath the green and blue is what it's being used for. Based on the NDOT formula, if we would look and use that same formula that the state uses to distribute money in the county, if we looked at the county distributing money in the same way at that 5, 65, and 30, then we would look at that, and it comes out that District 1 would be 52%, District 2 would be 23%, and District 3 would be 24%, would be the distribution if we would use that same funding mechanism as the state does. The difference in that fund allocation comes down to basically, that's per thousand if you look at that. Coming down here that the amount of monies that actually spent, and this is based on community crossing grant. If we were looking just at the community crossing grant of 1.33, got a question?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
1.333.
Yeah. If we looked at that community crossing grant, this is how it would be distributed across the area of basically 300. District 1 is missing about 387,000. District 2 comes out ahead about 210,000. District 3 comes out ahead about 76,000. That's comparing what we're currently allocating at 40%, 30%, 30% against what if we would use the state funding mechanism. That's the differences in it. Going on down, a comparative review. We have right now 3 independent highway departments supervised by county commissioners. We also got 3 highway district garages, 1 county highway supervised by a superintendent or engineer. 2, and then these are the 3 reviews, I'm sorry. If we got down to the third one, then it's a 2 county highway district, 1 county highway supervised by a superintendent. In other words, we'd have 2 garages, 1 superintendent. The way that we are now, 3 garages, or not the way we're now, but we would have, if we kept all garages, we would still need probably a superintendent. Especially if we're getting into a county engineer that's going to play between 2 counties. If we have 3 independent highway departments supervised by county commissioners, the cost has been determined for each of the 3 districts independently, and it's summarizing the cost. And I don't know if you got it. You had to get it on a spreadsheet. You can't look at it on a printout. It's too wide, too long of a spreadsheet. But if you look at it on the spreadsheet on the computer screen, you can see all the costs and how it's derived from. But basically, the 3 independent highways, the current situation that we have right now, that comes out that equipment-wise and O&M costs, all district means that we have shared equipment, i.e. the grade all. There's other pieces that are bought. There's a backhoe, whatever, that the county bought, or all 3 districts put money into the fund. District 1 has 1.25. District 2 has 1.11. District 3 1.21 million. O&M costs associated with all these comes out to be about 5,619,620,000 basically. If we come down to if we have come down to the next one. Dang on it. There we go. Here's if we went to 3 highway garages and kept a superintendent. Basically, the costs are a little bit different, and I don't know if I can explain why. Right off, I can't explain why.
The superintendent.
Well, the superintendent adds 80,000 to it, and I assumed a salary of a superintendent for 65,000. Whatever it's going to be, it'll be, if we would ever have one. Plus, I guess it should be about 16,000 in benefits, but basically it's 5,775,000. If we come down to the 2 county highway and 1 county highway supervised by the superintendent, the south would be 1.6, north would be about 1.56, O&M costs would be 1.546. Basically, it's a $4,750,000 operation at that point. Going on down, this is the comparative quantity. So here you can look at the equipment and O&M costs coming across at what we currently are we'd be spending is 5.619 or 5,620,000. If we went to 3 highways but we added a superintendent, actually we increase our cost because we have a superintendent. We didn't really change anything for the D1, D2, and D3. So it all kind of rolls into the same manner, but we increased the management cost because of adding the superintendent, a vehicle, and actually it'd be a little higher than that if we had a vehicle in it. But effectively that's what we're coming up with. If we go to 2 highway districts, take a foreman and split the foreman at each one of the places. We don't change any personnel. This whole thing, no personnel firings, hirings, or anything. 2 foremen would go to north, south, 1 would go to superintendent. The effect on this is that we have duplicate equipment, and as an example is we got grader, tractor, loader. Well, that's a lot of duplication of equipment. We're not getting some of this equipment fired up before it's even warmed up before it's shutting down because it's loading 4 or 5 trucks. The same loader could load out 8 trucks very easily and not in about the same amount of time it takes to warm up. So we're having a duplication of equipment, though we don't really need it. It's not being utilized enough. And some of the reason for that is that District 2 has 5 personnel, District 3 has 6 personnel. Part of the reason for this is that there's not enough personnel there for the equipment to actually be utilized. In other words, if you want to be running the grader, then it sits a lot. It doesn't have the hours on it. One of the best examples I think was happened with the farm tractors, with the grading, either grading or mowing, whatever we use them for. The issue is that like District 2 and District 3 didn't use their hours. And the reason being is that there's just not enough personnel. Not that you shouldn't be or could if you had more personnel to actually run them out there. But you got the same amount of equipment that District 1 has. But District 1 has 8 or 8 personnel. You only have 5, you only have 6. So something's not going to run, but yet you got the same amount of equipment. When it comes down to it, District 1 used all of it. This is another inefficiency we've got. District 1 used all of its hours on the tractor. District 2 and District 3 didn't use all of its hours. We should have swapped. At some point in time, that tractor should have shut down or went up north where it wasn't going to get used as much, and one of those tractors should have came down to District 1. But we don't have the management structure to do this. It's not efficient, and it's not like, do you have something to do, RJ? Or do you have a highway? It's a full-time job to run a highway. And we're doing other things, is what it comes down to. We can't manage effectively. I can't.
Okay.
And we can't manage this effectively as commissioners, I don't believe. I rely heavily on the foreman. So, and I assume you guys do too. But the foremen don't have any, they do talk. They do back and forth, but it's not effective communication in my book anyway. And those things happen.
How many of them you got, Pages? Just trying to figure out.
20. You want me to move faster? This is in your packet. I did send it to you. The spreadsheet's there. You'll have to put it on a computer. You can't try to take it off the paper. It's hard to do. Yeah. Here's the breakdown of D1. If we had 3 highway departments with the commissioners involved, this is what we've got now. This is the breakout. 1 foreman, operators, 19. If we go to 3 garages, we add a person because of the superintendent. We're not getting rid of anybody, but we have to add somebody for supervision or superintendent. If we go to 2 garage, it's the same as what we have currently. If we would take District 2 and either make it a staging area, but not hold equipment there except what has to be there to be able to house trucks or whatever it might be. Here's the road miles as it breaks down, and I agree with you that I don't think all the road miles are listed, and we need to look at that.
There's a lot that are not listed in each district. It's a couple of years ago, District 3 went and added like 4 miles. We were maintaining county roads, and 20 years ago they just didn't get added. So
well, and they keep these numbers are still consistent, but I know we're missing roads. Anyway, the road miles are there. You can see what those are. I don't know why I got a 2 mile or 2.2 mile difference between the two, but I did when I went to 2 district. The 2 garage district is taking basically 36 as a dividing line, 36 south, 36 north. So again, it can do whatever, but that pretty well works out to be about 50% of the road miles north and 50% of the road miles south when you do that. Here's the distances to the county line. If you look at D1, how far do you have to go from the garage, that is? How far do you have to go north, east, south, and west? And the same thing with D2 and D3. If you go to 2 districts, it really doesn't change a lot except for the North District ends up, because of where it's at, is now taking up District 2. So it's got to go down to 36 basically now. So that's 11.3. But they're already going 11 miles north. So there's about the same far up north as it is south. But the road miles are the same. Effectively, that's what we need to be looking at, is how much road do we have to maintain, how much road do we have to plow, how much road do we have to, it doesn't matter how, if it's, actually it probably works out a little bit better in that you're going linear. Can we still use District 2 garage? We can still stage there if we want to, if it seems to be, if it works out. I don't know that it does, but they need to run up and to get filled up at District, or at the North District, with the loader. A loader can load all these trucks out and nothing flat and not have stockpiles at different locations. County commissioners should only oversee the county highway through a superintendent. In other words, if we get a superintendent, we don't manage what we're doing now. We discuss things with the superintendent. He implements it with the foreman on down the line. Basically, this is the problems with county commissioners. Layman understanding of highway administration, operations, equipment, and maintenance. And I'm including myself in this. I am not a county highway superintendent. I'm not a county highway engineer. I understand a lot of this stuff, but I don't do it. I've not done it. Compensated based on a part-time salary and do not serve a full-time capacity. Here we are superintendents over our areas, but we're still part-time. We're not doing this as a full-time position. Time management is extended over a wide range of county needs. In other words, look at what we're doing. Tonight, we're spending a little time on highway, but most of the time we don't even deal with highway in our meetings or anything. So our management is extended over a long period of time, and yet we're not effective. No 2 districts are managed the same. How RJ does what he does in his district and how his foreman does things is different than what we do at D2 or D3 and all across the board. So there's not any consistency there, and if we went to trade personnel, it gets harder when you don't have a consistent management program across it. Purchases across the district substantially vary. What you decide you need and what I decide I need and how we should do it are not the same. We're light years apart on these things. And a lot of times it depends on the foreman. He comes and you're in the middle of restaurant business and he says, I need this, and you say, fine, take care of it. And am I middle something and Mike comes up and says something to me, it depends on time of day what happens with it. Purchases across 3 districts substantially vary, not coordinated. We've had this happen many times. The guy runs down to get signs. Well, we have signs being delivered the very next day, or even sometimes the same day. But yet we're crossing personnel going getting signs while sometimes they're being delivered. We're not coordinated well with that type of thing. That's just an example. There's other things too. Operation procedures are inconsistent, we already talked about that. Coordination of highway operations during emergency and inclement weather are difficult to coordinate. What happens up north is not what happens down south. And in between, you're in that flux zone. We've seen snow up there and not even get a flake down south. So when we tried to do this highway thing and try to get the three of us to agree that yes, we're yellow, no, we're red, or whatever it is, it's hard. One, it's hard to get the three of us to respond depending on what time of day and what's happening. And then the other thing is that it's just we don't share personnel. District 1's been done. I know District 2 still had things to do. We could have sent a truck up and done it, but there's a little bit of pride in these foremen that, no, I'm going to take care of my district. And I get it. And if I'm a little behind, I'm not going to admit it. I'm going to get it taken care of. Well, we need that. It's good to have that pride. It's good to have some competition, but not when it costs very much money.
How much more you got, Brad? I'm not trying to limit you, Brian.
Yes, you are.
Well, I am. I mean,
I got 20. I'm on 15.
my morning was 4:30 this morning, and I still ain't home.
Well, you should have talked to us much earlier. County Highway Superintendent. This is, if we would go to a superintendent, and I think we will, it's just a matter of whether we got 2 districts or 3, or garages. They'll report through the county commissioners still. That won't change. Superintendent will work with the county engineer with if we're sharing with another county, and I don't know that we can afford one.
Take a break.
Huh?
I'll be right back.
Oh, you need a recess?
You don't have to recess. You can keep talking.
Consistent operational control and application of maintenance. We will get to the point where all of our equipment is being maintained in the same manner and in the same way, and the foreman can implement this, and there'll be a discussion on this, on what's best. Not any one foreman, I think, has the best operation going on as far as maintenance goes, or whether we should send it off for maintenance or try to do it in-house or whatever it might be. Everybody has a little bit of different expertise, if you will, and experience. Direct sharing of manpower and resources. I'm short a guy up north, guy from south can go up there, vice versa. If we have a foreman that is on vacation, superintendent can drop down and help manage that area until he's back. So we have a little bit of duplication of management there, or it's not duplication, but being able to fall in and actually act as a reserve and keep the continuity of programs going, because they all understand what they're doing the same way. The managed candidacy, develop work plans based on county need and priority. Right now, you do what you think is a priority for 3. I do what I think is a priority for 1 and 2. This is a county highway. We should be doing what is the priority for the county. And maybe everything is that for the next 5 weeks are up in North District. But where is it that we need it? The other thing that's advantage with this is that we got now 9 and 8, or however, 9 and 9 personnel anyway. We got even. I believe in the function of 8s, because then if with 8 I can do 4 projects, or I can do 1 big project with 8 people, or I can do a bigger project with 16 people. But when you have 5, you can really only do 2 projects. You should be working in 2s. You shouldn't have a guy out there minus a grader operation, maybe the tractor grading. But basically, you want to be operating in 2s. And then if you need bigger jobs, when you got 5, you're done. You're going to take longer to get it done. So you're not going to do more than what 5 can do. Provide purchases across districts. So now I got the operation procedures are inconsistent. We just talked about that. Coordination of highway operations. Got that. Substitute. I think I got all that. Sorry, the mouse is kind of sensitive.
We really need to have a special meeting just to go over this, to be truthful.
Well, we can.
It's just
I'm not
too
asking
much.
for a decision or
No, I
anything
know,
tonight.
I know. I appreciate what you're doing. It's just too much to digest and
Well,
not in a
actually,
relaxed environment.
Okay. Well, if you guys don't want to listen, if it's
No,
if you're not able to, well, there's a time if
it's
you just don't comprehend anything. So I don't know if it's worthwhile going through. Minus.
I
I'd
mean,
like to
you
sit
got
on it.
you got a printout of it. I mean, I'd like to review all
Oh,
that,
yeah.
get a special meeting.
Give me the bottom 2.
He wants it all over. Dan's interested in it.
Somebody put a lot of work into
This
this.
is the county highway.
There's a shitload of work here.
I know it.
And there's a lot, I mean,
Well, the county highway clerk right now does 4 sets of books. She does District 1, District 2, District 3, and all county. Every time she makes a change on District 1, then she's got to do change 2, 3.
Manually.
And that's the other problem, it's manual. That's got to change. We got to get this, where you can make 1 entry, but it will hopefully not be across 4 sets of books. But we're keeping 4 sets of books for 1 county. And we need to be, if we want to divide north and south, I don't know that we do, but okay. But computerize it, so you enter here, it tumbles down to a number where you're not having a tape halfway across the garage, adding and subtracting, then come out, so you got to start over again. But basically, that will free that clerk up to do other things, to be an ERC or to help with a second ERC. Oh, I'm not saying to take it over, but we need 2 ERCs. This thing of, a month in between, if we even have a month, thank you for doing this, but we need backup to that. It also says that we can get the bids and things. This person can be starting to get all that together, and it'll be uniform. I don't have to ask how much asphalt, how much fuel oil do we need, how much do we do this. We'll have that number and be accumulated as we go, so when we go to annual bids, we have a real number instead of the same number that was used 40 years ago for the highway. Anyway, you can read through there what other things that person can do, but all of a sudden we get some control over the situation. My recommendation is 2 districts, and basically these are just my recommendations going forward with based on everything above this, and then you'll have the other costs down below there. But these are, and the other thing I'd like to see us do is separate our manpower. We've got equipment out there that not everybody should be running. We got that mini out there, the mini excavator. Not everybody should be running that. We've got the grade all, which is even more complicated than the mini is, and we shouldn't have everybody taking their try at it. So we got some specialized equipment that we need to name, I think, operators. And they'll make $1 more, whatever it is, but they'll make a little more than the truck drivers or the laborers. I don't know how far, I only have 3 categories here. But those people that are actually on that equipment, that are trained on that equipment and understand the equipment and take care of that equipment, should be compensated for their expertise, I believe. The foreman will make more, and the superintendent will make a little more than the foreman as you go on.
They give them something to work for too.
Well, it gives, this one price for everything. Personnel allocation, those are a year old. I don't know if the salaries I put in here, I put numbers in, so you can see what the effect is. But because we save about $850,000 in equipment that we can turn out, I can't say save, we don't spend, we turn that equipment out. Last year was a perfect time to do this because equipment was just bringing top dollar. I don't know where it is today. It's still bringing pretty good dollar, but it's starting to level out a little bit. But equipment that you turn out, people were buying up just because they couldn't get anybody else's equipment. And anyway, those numbers are just artificial numbers. I put them in to reflect what it could be. County highway, the highway office could be maintained down at District 2 in that building there. If we go and District 2 garage could do a couple of things. It can become an ambulance bay. Not maybe the same part that we're building 2 of them at this point, but it could be. It has 2 bays in it, and it has maybe some different configuration for the office area. And stay as the superintendent, clerk, and if we get a county engineer, they can be housed there as well. But they can be a recycling center. It's a heck of a grant match for that facility. So if we wanted to actually go into the recycling, that match just in not equipment, but in actually if we wanted to transfer equipment to it too, but just in the building and land alone would match almost anything we could do as far as recycling goes as well. And those bays, if we're not using them, if we didn't need to stage our trucks into them, would definitely come into play for recycling as well. The end.
The end?
You done?
Yeah.
Okay. It's
Something
very
to chew
interesting.
on.
You put a lot of time in that, a lot of time in it. That's something we don't do enough of, is more detail. You know, we need more detail. So, has anybody else got any comment on the public?
Come on, Dan.
Come on, Dan.
It's been good.
You want to comment?
Yeah,
What
come
do you
up to the
wanna comment
podium.
on?
Come up to the podium, get on TV.
What do you want to comment on?
Everything we talked about tonight. I'm kidding.
I do have one thing for you. You understand that this county has a very similar exposure to this vinyl chloride that they've made a mess in Pennsylvania and Ohio. There's as much vinyl chloride going through this county
Or more.
or more as there is out there. Not sure that there's anything you can do about it, but I think this county, I mean, you see what's going on out there. They're wrecking this area,
Ohio,
this
isn't it?
whole area. They're
Ohio.
gonna, huh?
In Ohio.
Yeah. What's it? I can't.
Palestine or?
Palestine, yeah. I mean, it's gonna wreck that area. People that's got houses can't sell them. People that's got businesses can't get business. And I just know that there's as much vinyl chloride going through here as there is out there.
The worst is the white cars.
Yeah, but it's something that I don't know that this county's prepared for something like that. I don't know
I don't
that
think
any
any
county
county-
can prepare for it, but it is something that ought to be on the radar, I would think.
We are fortunate with O'Hare at our emergency management.
We could pose that
our
question.
size.
Pose the question to emergency management and say, what if?
Are we putting anything back for it, or because at some point in time they're going to have a wreck out there. Is it going to have the vinyl chloride cars? I don't know, but
We do have a rainy day fund that can be tapped.
Yeah.
And we also have some knowledge as to what the state, being able to push the buttons at the state level as well.
yeah.
And with the I guess it's CSX. Actually, we got an independent too on North. Don't know about the independent.
Well,
I'm not sure there's a lot of vinyl chloride on it, but there's a lot of vinyl chloride on that CSX line.
People don't realize that rail line goes all the way from Florida over to Chicago. I mean, that is a very well-used line across the United States, north and south.
Well, there's a lot of vinyl chloride coming out of Chicago. That's where one of the big refineries is up there. So, I mean, you'll see whole trains come down that track that's nothing but that. Now, there was other stuff here that complicated that route.
Ron?
Sir, it's your turn.
You got anything to say?
Are you talked out?
Let's go home.
He said adjourn.
Somebody make the motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we stay for another hour. I second your motion there, Archie.
All in favor?
Aye.
No discussion. Adjourned.